Hey everybody, welcome back to another all-new X's for Show, your premier media response show. And I guess today we're responding to some retro magic vibes, taking a look at the 30th anniversary of 1993. You can check the show out at X is for Show on all the socials. As for me, I'm Nico Action, and you can check me out exactly there. That's NICOACTION.
And I'm TK. You can find me at TK Elemental.
And that makes me your producer, Kevo, and you can find me at Kevo Really. That's KEVORELR. I can spell. You know what? It's right here. KEVOREALLY is 1993. So special. There you go. There's the intro.
It is unreal to me how many things came out in 1993. And you know what? I'm sure you can find the right things to do that with 1995 and 2003. But the thing that shocked me was how many things I had to leave off of this list. We're here to play one of our most famousest games, and that is bracketeering. The only charges here is that if you're caught bracketeering, you'll be caught having too much fun. So,
Nice.
I want to make sure that bracketeering is a good thing. And so I am just so excited to play this game today. Kevo, when you came to me with this, I was like, yeah, okay, what happened in 1993? Prince turned 35 and changed his name to the artist formerly known as. Sure. But when I really looked at it, I will dag nabbit. There were just so many things in 1993.
It's so weird.
And I wonder how much of that is perhaps a response to the fact that we had the, I'm not trying to play any political games here, but the Bush administration, H's administration, as it were, was the education. He was the education president, but million points of light. And he was the kind of business president in a lot of ways. And then you had Bill Clinton come out in 1992, and he was the guy who played saxophone on Arsenio. Ooh, 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 ooh. So,
that.
That's even immortalized in the opening of Animaniacs, where it says while Bill Clinton plays the sax, and we have Animaniacs in our TV lineup, which will be featured next episode. So we have a lot of things to talk about. 1993 was a banger bop of a year
For everything. And Nico, you had to kind of be the one to choose the criteria for which we did this, because as soon as we started talking music, I had this enormous list of what I was certain were the absolute best songs. And then I looked at your list, and they are also completely amazing songs, but they were entirely different songs. Now, you actually picked metrics of, popular metrics of what makes something good, but there's so much stuff that didn't go on this list just because we could have done, I was saying, 2 to 5 64 slot brackets for all the stuff that comes out in 93 that is so good.
And it's this thing that I get into when somebody's like, oh, okay, so your favorite musician is Tori Amos, what's her album? And I'm like, oh no, it's not that
All
she's
of
so
them.
new you haven't heard of her, it's that she's so old you haven't heard of her. She has 16 albums. Oh, Jesus, I'm not listening to that. Give me 3 or give me a couple of songs from a few of them. And I'm like, sure, can I give you a top 2, 3, 4, 5? Can I give you 6 tracks from each album? Can there be a couple of alternates? You know what? Can I just give you the order to listen to the 16 albums? And then here's where I need the B-sides to come in. And I feel like that is sort of usually endemic of your favorites. And what's interesting is, there's no way to avoid it. We were 7 and 8 this year in 1993. So we were at a developmentally important age, 30 years ago. But beyond that, there's very few Titanics. Titanic only happened once, and then Avatar wasn't Titanic happening again. Avatar was everybody saying, oh, can Cameron beat Titanic? Is this a response, right? So when you're talking about the quality of fictionania, of meta recognition of art, one of the things that you always need to take into consideration is there's only one whoomp there it is. Even though there's actually technically two, because there was also Woot There It Is, which came out like a month earlier, and it was just like evidently Whoop There It Is was just like a big phrase used in the southern sort of Miami to Atlanta like club scene. So that was a common phrase that was used, and it was just like it so happened that both songs came out. Now, Arsenio, just to bring him back up, actually had both acts on his show and had them both do their songs and had fans call into a 900 number to vote, and the proceeds went to charity. So no matter who won, it didn't matter because it was helping people out. And that's kind of a cool little fact about how Arsenio is responsible for 1993.
And responsible in 1993.
Yeah. So there are just so many things we had to leave off, whether it was movies, TV shows, albums, etc. It was a tough call, but I think we came up with a bunch that really made me happy. For movies, every one of these, I believe, is either in the top 30 or top 50, and some of them are perhaps a little bit lower down on the charts, but ultimately serve a cultural value that I think elevates them into the echelon necessary. And additionally, there were only 11 number one songs in the entirety of 1993. And that's because 3 songs shared a combined like 30 weeks at number one. And that's Janet Jackson's That's the Way Love Goes, Whitney Houston's I Will Always Love You, and Mariah Carey's Dream Lover. Now, Mariah Carey and Janet Jackson would also have other number ones that same year, with Mariah Carey having had Hero, which was the last big hit off of her previous record. And then again from Janet Jackson was the final single. So this was a metric study.
And that's really just, talking about pop. That was one of the big things that I said was, we got to get some alternative rock in here too, for which in terms of like chart toppers and bestsellers, alternative rock was often not there when it came to the Billboard, even if songs are really iconic on alternative radio stations. But like, this is the year that All Apologies came out. This is the year that Big Time Sensuality by Bjork came out. It really, Cannonball by the Breeders, like some of these songs of the era are from this year.
You have such great taste.
Cranberries. There's a lot of Cranberries this year.
There's a lot of Cranberries. Yeah. Also Laid, like one of the most beyond transcending alternative radio. Laid is so funny. Like to me, I cannot believe that it is not a chart topping song, because I think it's one of those songs that everybody now recognizes in some capacity, if not the original, then the Matt Nathanson cover. But it's, none of these songs, for as great as they were, most of them did not chart the way that something like Dream Lover would.
And just to interact with that for a minute, part of what's really important to acknowledge in here is Whoop There It Is, because I spent a lot of time on Whoopipedia or whatever. But did you know the song was praised for its positive message?
Because some people were really down about the fact that they thought it was over there. And these guys were like, "Whoop, there it is." And just the way that lifted spirits in the nation.
For people who had hearing loss, a little louder, right? It was, shakalaka indeed.
So helpful. Shakalaka when the walls fell.
So, but what I was aiming to get at is that this song never hit number one. This song, the wedding staple of all time until I Got a Feeling bumped it down a peg. With
you mean the bar mitzvah staple?
Ooh, no, This Is How We Do It. But this song never hit number one. So somehow, having not hit number one, it would go on to sell 4 million copies. Freak Me by Silk and Weak by SWV, 2 bump and grind jam classics that also hit number one in 1993, are not of the same ilk. as, say, All Apologies, which did not go on to hit number one, or Rain by Madonna, forgotten single off of the Erotica record, which I think is a little famous for being, slutty. But
Aren't we all?
Speaking of slutty and famous for slutty, I just want to thank you, Kevo, for making an awesome background that pays tribute to one of the sexiest things to happen in the 90s, Free Willy. You
know how hard it is to actually find that Melrose Place background that you have? Like, there are no really good high-def, large images of the Melrose Place courtyard, and that's really so sad. It's such a great set, and I'm so glad that I found it. And I love that Teak took the Wayne's World one. I had the Free Willy, obviously, because that's one of my favorite things from this year. But I also made sure to have this joyful background featuring, all the folks from Sister Act.
Okay. I'll be honest with you. I thought you were going to take Melrose Place and Nico was going to take Sister Act.
Okay, funny story.
No, I get that, but no.
So
the thing is, I wanted Melrose Place, but I thought one of you would take it. I just thought it was going to be Kevo.
Okay, here's why I can't take Wayne's World. I'm not a Wayne's World guy. I have 3 points of reference on Mike Myers. One of them is the stupendous iteration of Gong Show he did.
Yes.
I love So I Married an Axe Murderer, which also came out this year, but we had to leave it off the list for considerations.
Yeah.
That's 2 movies of his this year, then. That's crazy. Continue.
And neither one is Austin Powers. And then the only other thing that I really associate with Mike Myers is the funniest sketch SNL ever accomplished, which is, of course, Coffee Talk. The time that Barbara Streisand showed up while Madonna was on stage. And even Madonna was stunned. So, okay. I want to get to a little bit more about what we're here to talk about, and that is our bracket game. I love playing bracketeering with you guys. It is the game where we pit 2 things against each other. Now, sometimes it's wacky situations like which one would you rather be trapped in an old-timey saloon with? Or which one would you rather be trapped in outer space with? Wow, that's both versions of the Homeboys show. So I love that today we're doing it a little bit different. Our question is, which of these things... Oh.
We're playing it the way brackets are supposed to be played. Which is you pick one thing, one question. What is the best? It can even be one of those stupid questions like, who would you most want to be trapped on a spaceship with? But then that applies to all 16 or 32 things in the bracket, and you have one winner, and that is the ultimate person you want to be trapped with.
You laugh at me because I'm different, but I laugh at you because you're all the same.
I do not laugh at you because you're different. I'm just pointing
for
out
a lot of reasons.
For a ton. That's just not one of them. I'm just pointing out that we do use bracketeering as a jumping off point to have some funny conversations about a particular property with a bunch of different questions. But ultimately, that winner is a nonsense winner because they didn't even compete against the same question.
I really like, though, this specific bracketeering where we are going to do the one side is going to be one category, namely movies, and the other side is going to be music.
Yeah.
And then it'll become chaotic when we start to try and compare movies to music. Good stuff.
Well, no better time than right now. Let's dive in to the films of 1993. I'll admit, a lot of these movies were things I had to see later on, and we made some cuts, like Scent of a Woman. You know why Scent of a Woman was on here? Because I actually believe that is technically the first hoo-wah that he does in film. I believe that is
I'm sure it is.
And we also cut Indecent Proposal. Because by today's standards, that's way too much money for sex.
Horrible. Well,
are you kidding me? In the OnlyFans generation, please.
Yeah, okay.
I would do tons of shit for a pack of Trulies and a cake pop. So, Indecent Proposal, you're going too far, man.
That says more about you than it does about Demi Moore, though.
So, guys, I want you to talk things out for just a little bit more because I have this set up as 2 16-slot brackets and not one 32-slot. I can
might
fix
have
that.
misspoken. I don't know what our plan was, so I might have been wrong. We could just
Oh,
do this
okay.
this way.
So we can do
Yeah.
either movie winner and music winner, or we can get
yeah.
all the way.
Let's do movie winner and music winner. I love how it's set up.
Okay.
And then we can just pit the ultimate winners against each other for fun.
I'm totally down with that. Well, then let me get my screen into the mix.
I know I have a bracketeering title bar. I just can't find it now.
This is, by the way, my arrangement of Janet Jackson's 1993 seminal cult classic. That's the Way Love Goes. This is famously the music video that features Jennifer Lopez going, Janet, play the tape! And there it is.
Bumped it up a bit. Yeah.
When I think about 1993 and I think about Jennifer Lopez, I think about how, she had been on In Living Color. She'd been a fly girl. Rosie Perez famously said Jennifer Lopez was easy to spot on stage because she was always the fly girl off the beat. And that she would go on to have a career where she was famous for being that lady that danced is kind of amazing. But anyway, enough about that. Let's get to the game.
Oh, man, I really want to go back on that Jennifer Lopez tangent, but I'll let us get going.
Oh, why? You think she's a great dancer?
No, not at all. I just, yeah. A
There's
conversation
always
for
time.
another day.
There will always be more time.
One day we'll do a
Jennifer
celebrities bracket and just talk shit the whole time.
Nice.
No matter what the question is, Gwyneth Paltrow is going to lose. So let's start by taking a look at 2 films that I think, when you think about the 90s and you think specifically about the early 90s in film, I do think that both of these kind of have to come to mind on some level.
Jurassic Park absolutely does. Free Willy, on the one hand,
Free Willy.
Exactly. Like, I can understand exactly why and how. What did I just watch that had a Free Willy? Oh, was it Solar Opposites? That has a Free Willy moment.
We just watched a Voyager with Lori Petty 1 minute
That's
ago.
so funny.
So that's a Free Willy moment. Yeah.
Yeah, it was 4 whales, and they all jump out of an aquarium into the parking lot.
And then just right into the parking lot. Yeah, amazing. So that's the thing. Like, Jurassic Park to me is.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to say the category is big animals.
Oh yeah, we got to make sure Nico gave these all categories. Thank you, big animals.
And
it is important.
Super important.
Yep. Jurassic Park is iconographic, of course. It is one of the early blockbusters of the, like, now everything must be a blockbuster.
Truly.
Free Willy has that moment and is conceptually such nonsense that it just makes us all smile. I'm like making my argument now.
Hold on. But Free Willy, like, literally invented the whale girl. So, like, we have horse girl, we have dog boy.
It was a
whale girl.
We have cat people, But Free Willy gave us I'm going to get into marine biology. I'm going to be, because I feel like something that is really interesting is I'm lucky enough to know several people that are either master's level or doctor level marine biologists. In part from living at the Jersey Shore and in part from working for the Disney company, which employs so many. But an overwhelming number of the people I am lucky enough to know in the marine biology community are either women or notable homosexuals.
Listen, you didn't make that happen.
This whale girl is a boy, but doesn't mean we can't want to follow him. Which one was it? It's Jesse, right? It's Jesse something.
Like a Joshua Caddison song.
He was an orphan, so he didn't have a last name. So it was just Jesse. And
Jesse Opposites.
His parents were Glenn
that's
and
the
Annie.
boy's name. The actor's name is Jason James Richter. Okay.
Richter, yep. Oh, believe me, I know.
That Kevo, that is so something
His little brother was Elvis. He was played by Francis Ford Coppola or whatever his name is.
Oh my God,
Wow.
Weevil
Weevil,
from
yeah.
Veronica's Closet on Mars.
Yeah, Veronica's inspection closet. Yeah, he was Jesse's brother in the second movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. So the question is, which one of these bad boys holds up better?
Jurassic
Honestly,
Park, period.
Jurassic Park, period. I think when you look at
Unfortunately-
Free Willy, it is so 1993. And when you look at Jurassic Park, I watched Jurassic Park as an adult for the first time. I missed this as a kid. As an adult, I even was like, wow, I can see why there's like, Universal rides based on this. And nobody's out there going like, where's the Free Willy remake, the Free Willy verse? Why is nobody also trying to free Kong? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the big problems is Free Willy is too sincere and earnest.
In a way that automatically becomes saccharine.
Yeah, I mean,
illogical. Like, it
you
doesn't.
could do a whole ride of, or you could do like a whole theme park of like wildlife aspirational movies of the 90s. You'd do the geese movie with, what's her name?
Fly Away Home with Anna Paquin.
Thank you.
Yes.
You would have a Tower of Terror-esque, but it would be horizontal and it's running from the bees in My Girl. You could do a whole park of the really horse jumping with Wild Hearts Can't Be Broken. Listen, these are free ideas. Please help yourself, America. But at the end of the day, we don't have that movie verse, and we do have a fully rebooted Jurassic Park where we're like, I think, one movie away from cyborg dinosaurs. So,
Which isn't something that's that illogical for that type of franchise. Like,
no, absolutely not.
As much as people are saying it's gotten so silly, like, when did it not start silly?
Yeah, it's
okay.
about cloning dinosaurs from mosquito blood that you found in amber.
If anything, I feel like Jurassic Park is finally achieving its full potential.
Nailed it.
In
And
100%.
like, there's no fuller potential for Free Willy. You freeze the Willy, and it's over.
The only way to fulfill it even more is to take all of the shared information that we got from the internet about how orcas are like horrifying rapist monsters, fuse that with something like Blackfish, and then all of the latest headlines about the orcas sinking ships. And
There's a Jaws movie from like the 1970s that is an orca as the Jaws, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of what you're describing.
Yeah, we would need that. Free Willy does have the more iconic moment with, the solar opposite. Like when that came up, that's everything. But that's all we got.
I want to say one more thing before we definitely click.
Yeah,
Jurassic
we're definitely
Park, which is, I noted to Nico, I have always had an obsession with the font Dreamcatcher, and I noticed that is the logo for Free Willy. It was a very Warner Brothers font for the 1990s.
Yes.
But I was like, light bulb.
It is such a 90s deco revival.
Deco, yep.
Yep. Anyway.
I want to say goodbye to Free Willy with a brief theatrical interpretation of Free Willy. Go, Willy. We don't want you. No one wants you here. Go
and then
be
slap
free.
it in the face.
Slapping it in the face, and then the dolphin going off on its own.
When did that movie come out?
When did Harry and the Hendersons come out? Is that what you're asking?
87, yeah.
It was 6 years old.
Yeah.
All right.
So don't slap it. This isn't a slap.
All right. So
Nico, what was this category?
Big romance.
Okay.
And I love this category because there's two things I need to say. Number one, our sweet little man, our beautiful baby boy Jonah is actually named after the kid in Sleepless in Seattle.
Are you kidding me?
That tells that story a lot. He loves telling that story.
That's why his name is Jonah.
Oh my God.
His mom was watching the movie with his dad, and the kid in the movie is named Jonah, and she turns to him and says, one day if I have a little boy, I want to name him Jonah. And she did.
I am fucking obsessed with that.
Yeah, it's the sweetest thing in the entire world because as a kid, I was actually obsessed with Sleepless in Seattle. I didn't understand that, like, Sleepless in Seattle for me represented a level of nuance that I struggled with. I didn't understand that, like, You could be what was defined as perhaps a chick flick. Like I had a hugely influential uncle and aunt and their 2 kids at this time in my life. My uncle Bob, my aunt Debbie, and their kids Robbie and Lisa, who they were just such an important part of my life. And Robbie was very cool and very buff and very like the cool older brother. And Lisa was cerebral and strong and brave. And they very much represented sort of the idea of the polarized male-female of sort of suburbanite Jersey at this time. They were literally like if you had made a sitcom about Jersey in the 90s, they would have been those kids in a good way. And something that I remember was that Sleepless in Seattle kind of represented something that wasn't frilly romance, but rather represented something that was more of a cerebral take on romance. Whereas, while Deborah Cox will boots the house down every time she does the Bodyguard musical, seriously, go check it out. Fucking Queen you to death. It's incredible. It's Adam Lambert up in Freddie Mercury levels of Queen. So good. Just can't stress enough. The Bodyguard itself is a terrible film. It's just bad. It's a terrible film.
I'll watch it with you, Teak. I'll watch it with you. I haven't seen it yet.
So handsome in it and so charming, but could not possibly save a script this flat.
Has Kevin Costner ever not been flat? Like
Kevin Costner is goddamn funny as hell.
But what is
this is a very weird situation I'm finding myself in.
I like Rene Russo a lot. So
Same.
Anything with Rene Russo.
Yes.
Anytime.
The original MILF. There were other MILFs before her. Calm down, everyone.
Not for me.
Not for me.
The original 90s MILF.
The original 90s MILF for sure.
Yeah.
So first off,
3. Oh my god, Rene Russo.
A rich man's Helen Hunt.
1993.
A Bezos' Helen Hunt, if you will.
1993, we are still in so brave territory for putting Whitney and Kevin Costner as romantic interests in a film.
Yes, absolutely.
That's nonsense, of course, but like also notable. Your background is Melrose Place, and you don't get what the appeal of this film is.
No, I do, but the question is that something designed that Nico would enjoy?
No, well,
the question is, which of these two things represents a more timeless entity created in 1993? The Bodyguard, by 1993's standards, was schlock. But Sleepless in Seattle asked us to consider a different kind of romance, a dissociated sense of disconnection that would go on to predominate throughout our social media narratives. If it weren't for things like Sleepless in Seattle romanticizing the idea of two people who just couldn't connect despite this powerful affection, I don't know that we would have celebrated the idea of internet dating in storytelling the way we did. And I just think Sleepless in Seattle is monumental for what it contributed to the quality of my understanding of love.
And I also think you need to take into account like the outside factors, the New York of the 1990s, the Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan of it all, like the
Meg
two
Ryan.
of them.
So, okay, but first off, you just described You've Got Mail.
And Joe versus the volcano.
Yeah, that's my point. Exactly. Like,
no, I'm saying
so
Nico just described You Got Mail with the whole online dating conversation, which isn't a bad one, but I mean, this sits firmly between When Harry Met Sally and You've Got Mail.
Yes.
And it is, with When Harry Met Sally being basically perfect, You've Got Mail being,
When Harry Met Sally is number 2 compared to Sleepless in Seattle. And I think Sleepless in Seattle is literally one of the best directed films I've ever seen in my entire life.
I now want us to do a thought experiment at some point, because I've always kind of been mildly chagrined that it's Billy Crystal in When Harry Met Sally, and that it doesn't make this better trilogy. Yeah. But now I'm like, if Billy Crystal is the Tom Hanks of that movie, what Tom Hanks movie has the Meg Ryan? You know what I mean?
Oh, it's not Forrest Gump. It's Big. It's not big.
Okay.
Actually,
it could be
technically-
big.
No, I think it's actually
Big has boobies. It couldn't have had Meg Ryan.
Survivor with the ball. What's it called?
Yeah.
that has
Yes.
Helen Hunt.
Meg Ryan
Yeah.
could have been Wilson. Yeah.
Oh my God. His volleyball's name is Wilson, and he's married to Rita Wilson. The second La Femme Nikita was
Nepotism.
Kita Wilson.
Nepotism.
And then the third La Femme Nikita
The ball was
in
played by a
Kita.
Wilson.
Does I Will Always Love You get any weight in this?
I actually think that I don't want to mention I Will Always Love You for 1 second in this conversation, and would rather talk about the other brilliant songs on this soundtrack.
Like Soul Seduction?
Like, okay, Soul Seduction's fine, but I Will Run to You is literally near perfect.
Michelle Visage, if you're watching, Nico
We're so
just
sorry.
completely brushed past you,
Okay.
which I
You
would never
wasn't speak
do.
for us.
You know that about me, Michelle Visage, who is
Michelle
definitely
Visage
watching.
is- We're
Michelle
so
Visage
sorry.
knows that we are diner bitches. She
That's
knows
true.
what it means to be at 1 a.m. You don't want to go to Denny's because you can see there's 13 cars in the parking lot. Fuck that. I am so wasted because I got to the club too early and I'm shot at 1 a.m. that my friends carried me out. So we have to go to the local diner where the waitress is just waiting for you to leave so she can get drunk again. Right? That is the kind of bitch I am with Michelle Visage. And she knows that. We're Jersey girls. So we're good.
My vote's still for The Bodyguard. I think I'm gonna lose, but
I'm sorry. I really am. You get some. There is definitely some points for I Will Always Love You and any Dolly Parton song that she can hear the cover of on the radio and it makes her pull over to the side of the road just to listen. Like,
yes.
absolutely.
Also,
But,
it's very funny that her sister wanted to kill her.
Well, I also just want to comment
Solange.
that that's one of my favorite stories in all of music.
Fuck, where's that body cover where's that bodyguard remake where Beyonce is the person and Solange is the sister?
Yes.
Sorry, please go ahead.
When Dolly Parton talks about it, she says, "When I recorded I Will Always Love You, I took a little bit of money to the bank. When Whitney Houston recorded I Will Always Love You, I went and bought the bank." And who I know Dolly Parton to be, a goddess, a queen, like the woman who inspires me, that like I had the pleasure of going to Nashville this year. I think I've mentioned it once or 6,042 times. And we stayed in a room that had like Dolly Parton quotes all over the walls. And like, I don't know, she just makes me very happy. And I don't think that Dolly Parton could be the woman that she is to me, Nico Action, if it hadn't been for, The Bodyguard. So I just want to thank New York City for naming that street after her, W. Houston Street, right? So I think this one has to go to Sleepless in Seattle.
Yeah. All right.
Sorry.
Oh,
I
so
love
my
you.
my interpretation of The Bodyguard by the soundtrack. That's it.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Category is
Big sequels.
big sequels.
I didn't end up fighting for this so much as we were all like, fuck, there are a lot of sequels this year. And
I mean,
that
we put
really
another
was-
sequel in a different category.
Exactly, and that even was part of my huge reason for bringing up sequels in the first place, is like, you hear so many people complain about sequel culture these days, and
Yeah.
no, not the
Nope.
case. Not the
It
case.
always happened.
All right. I want to start with I was not a Wayne's World kid. It just didn't do it for me because I think I felt like the guys in Wayne's World would have made fun of tortoise shell glasses, wanted to be Kennedy on MTV before all the weird GOP nonsense stuff.
A little.
I felt like they would have just mocked the shit out of me and made fun of like little fat bitch tits Nico, and like that was one of my nicknames. So like Wayne's World from the cultural outside was not something I felt I fit in with, but Sister Act 2, about a bunch of weird kids who love to just sing together. Oh, dip on a stick. Sister Act 2. I can still do all the musical numbers to this day, all the voicings from the first movie or the second movie. Jonah recently saw the first movie, and in the backseat of the car on the way to the gym one morning, he just goes, cherubim, seraphim. And like, it's just the Sister Act movies, the Sister Act musical. Let's just throw nonsense in there and say it's the white prequel. It's just so good, all of it.
So while I will agree to an extent that they probably would have made fun of little Nico with his tortoiseshell glasses, it would have been in a very loving way that would have resulted in, all right, party. So let's go hang out. And like,
Little dude.
Yes, you would have still been welcome into the group. You are just as welcome to make fun of Garth's hair or Wayne's lack of job. Like, I can totally see where the perception of that is, especially based on what a lot of their audience was.
Well, and as an adult, I know I'm wrong. As an adult, I know that Wayne's World is the Blind Melon No Rain music video of comedy. And it is just, if you're weird, you're welcome. And as an adult, I understand that is Mike Myers' humor. And Mike Myers did a lot of problematic things he's apologized for, but like, he never came for little kids. And so like, as an adult, I know that is not the case. But I felt excluded. I felt like they were basically Beavis and Butthead, which debuted same year as this sequel.
And that was the idea.
Yeah. I mean, Midwestern metalhead public access is such a Saturday Night Live pitch. But what was amazing about the guys back in the day was they could follow through on the pitch and turn it into something more. Even if they were sometimes ill-advised or weren't going to work, they really could figure out how to both inhabit the characters and then give you a tight 90-minute film. That said, of course it's Sister Act. Lauryn Hill, are you kidding me? Jennifer
really
Love Hewitt. I mean, there's more, but it just is Sister Act.
That girl who looked like Brittany Snow but isn't Brittany Snow.
Yes, that one exactly.
Yeah.
And then what's his name? Who I feel so bad I can't think of his name from City High.
Yeah.
But like,
oh shit.
Also, Kevo, she now is the mom on Euphoria. Is a mom on Euphoria. So we're all old and going to die.
I think the thing about that Sister Act 2 is so important for is it had a sense of inclusivity.
Yes.
The music, as much of it as was generated toward a maybe more 1993 hip hop inclusive voicing, just as much of it was designed to be, Kathy and Jimmy wailing in a falsetto.
Well, I mean, the whole thing is that it's gospel music, and they really tie where gospel music went in popular culture and what would speak about the commonalities between gospel music and hip hop and R&B. But then the thing I always love is they have that one kid who's obviously a metalhead, who's the only one who knows how to play the piano. The white kid with the long hair who's like not really a character in the movie.
And he always has this face the entire time.
And the whole point being like, while the songs are gospel because it is a Catholic school and, hip hop and R&B because they're teens of the era, it's ultimately just about the joy that music gives to the world and that, it's a common language that everybody speaks. That's what makes both movies amazing. They should do it. What?
Oh, good.
They should
do what? They keep talking about that. But
I know.
The strike happened.
They got to do it before
really
Whoopi says one more thing that just gets her canceled forever.
You know what? Here's the thing about Whoopi Goldberg.
No, we're not doing the thing about Whoopi Goldberg. We'll never finish this.
She always says she's sorry, and that's important.
It is important.
I also want to draw attention to the fact that this is yet another movie in the early 1990s where Dame Maggie Smith is an old woman, and now here we are, 30 full years later.
Yep.
Go with God, Crispy.
So my Wayne's World interpretation is, well, Garth, I guess we're not aging well. All right. That's as close as you're gonna get.
No, they're not aging well. Have you seen the most recent sketch they did as those guys?
No.
Let it go.
Rough.
You're old. You're old. It's okay. You can move on. It's okay.
I still think Tommy Maitland, as the host of the Gong Show, is one of the crowning achievements of game show.
Dana Carvey would have done an amazing sidekick character too. So that would have been an interesting. I'd rather see them reunite like that.
Dana Carvey as a different guest every week on the panel. If he was always playing some obscure celebrity you've never heard of as one of
That's
the
what I
judges,
want. I want to see Dana Carvey and Mike Myers do new stuff together. That's all.
But the thing is, I think for me, one of the best things I ever watched is that documentary about everything that went wrong with the Dana Carvey show. That is one of my favorite comedy documentaries of all time. Too Funny to Fail. I think Dana Carvey should be celebrated for his ability to play a million people, and Mike Myers should be celebrated for his ability to find deep comedy in a single character. So I really love what we just said.
And thank God I have so little to say about these movies because we are just taking our time.
The only thing I want to say is, how is it that Thomas Ian Nicholas's two notable credits are... Well, sorry, three notable credits are two baseball movies and the American Pie franchise. He basically makes this same movie again in A Kid in King Arthur's Court, then three American Pie movies, and essentially nothing else. Rules of Attraction, a couple other minor ones, but why was this the kid that you were like, I think he plays baseball?
Also really love that he is one of the bizarrely many celebrities that was in a very small Walt Disney biopic called Walt Before Mickey. He played Walt Disney, John Heder played Roy Disney, and Jodie Sweetin played Charlotte Disney. Like, it also has David Henry in it. Like, there's a bunch of like people in this random Walt biopic that I remember seeing everywhere and then nowhere.
Is that like Beer Before Liquor?
No, it's there was like this realization that there's so much more to the Disney company than just like, oh, look at our movies. At this point, the Disney company has a meta story to it. And it's things like bringing up A Kid in King Arthur's Court, a forgotten Disney movie that felt like it was just a play to capitalize on the success of these two films, whether or not it came first or second. One of the things that happened a lot in the 90s was once someone did a thing, everybody else was like, copy, copy, copy. I will never forget. My Nana was like, I talk about it a lot, like to people that know me, but like my Nana was the meanest bitch on the planet. And I think I spent 20 years just trying to be her.
And deconstruct how horrible she was? Yeah.
At the same time, yeah, two things. And she was amazing. She, survived a lot of hard stuff. And when I would watch The Sandlot, the soundtrack to this made her so happy. And when I would watch The Sandlot, the soundtrack to it made my Uncle Bob so happy. And there were so many people that I was able to connect with through The Sandlot. Funny enough, Rookie of the Year was by far the runaway financial success of the two. Not even a question for how much it cost and for how much it made.
Sandlot aged better in our memories, 100%.
And like when I think about Rookie of the Year is just kind of like a story of falling into good luck and stuff. But like when I think about Sandlot, I could create, like, if you told me, okay, Nico, write Sandlot, as like a Riverdale reimagining, hardcore style, put him in college, make everybody gay. I could do that in a minute, man. Sandlot gave you so much to love that even if Rookie of the Year was the bigger hit, and I think some of it just to do with the title being very catchy, Sandlot's the fucking movie, babe.
And I think it's also like the amount of baseball effort they put into Rookie of the Year, where they were like using a stadium and like teams and like making it look so big, and there's baseball players that appeared as themselves, and so like it felt like more of an event. Sandlot is a lot more intimate and personal, a lot smaller, easier to film sets, so it doesn't really feel like as big a thing. But then especially because this was the year that the Wonder Years ended, and so like we were looking for new sources. Yeah, this was the series finale of Wonder Years. So,
wait, so it was a Savage to Savage handoff?
Yes, I've said that a lot. Yes,
like a surface piercing transfer.
Wow. We will talk about that next week when we talk about TV. But yes, Fred Savage handed off television to his younger brother, Corey Savage, Ben Savage, and that was the late 80s through the 90s, basically. And so I think Sandlot was a lot more a dose of nostalgia. And then we saw like a lot of other baseball movies in the 90s too. So Rookie of the Year fell really far behind other baseball movies set then.
I think the Savage brothers helped define my love of handsome Semitic looks. having those two young men as these like standing representations of what I was going through as a white stand-in. Wow. And I think Rookie of the Year and Sandlot really did seek to capitalize on that energy, especially considering that I nearly said Boys to Men. I gotta go. That Boy Meets World was starting just this. No, you know what? To be completely honest, though, I did leave a Boys to Men song off the list, and it's been on my mind over and over again. End of the Road was held out of number 1 in 1993, and it just.
I also want to say, if you're taking all the non sequiturs you want, the only thing I've been thinking about for the last 5 minutes, and Thomas Ian Nicholas and Rookie of the Year and Kid in King Arthur's Court is the only thing I think fondly of. Kid in King Arthur's Court, because I never saw it, but it is my favorite dumb Disney canon inclusion from Once Upon a Time.
You know, and that's
there is a random side character whose father is revealed to be the character from Kid in King Arthur's Court, and it's such a dumb thing. But then you're like, it's a fable. It was a Mark Twain story, and then it was a Disney movie. So you know what?
It is a public domain property.
And that's what I mean by the meta story of the Disney company is such an investable thing. The only thing we haven't mentioned yet is that I associate one other film with this era, and that is, in fact, Little Big League.
That's another
where the kid he inherits it from his grandfather. Okay, can we talk about all the ninja movies? Because Three Ninjas.
Yes, Three Ninjas from Escape Back.
Little Giants.
Little Giants. That was the movie where I decided that Ed O'Neill would be a man I wanted to put I remember thinking as a kid, I would like to put my head on Ed O'Neill's chest. Also, I just want to put it out there, Surf Ninjas is the movie I watched the most as a kid, by far.
I never saw it, but there was some VHS that had the trailer for it, and I saw the trailer for this movie a million times. This was 1993. It could have been on the list. It shouldn't be, but it could have. I mean,
for baseball movies, there's also Angels in the Outfield. If you want to go way back to where I think it all started, it's Field of Dreams. For Sandlot, we've got, ultimately...
You both. I'm Danny Glover, but I'm not the same Danny Glover that's going to be in Saw. Don't watch both these movies.
Or Lethal Weapon, for that matter.
Maybe don't watch Danny Glover movies.
What is wrong with you? Danny Glover is a national treasure.
I'm saying in the concern over...
For kids.
God, there's okay. I lost my train of thought, but anyway, baseball movies were a thing for a hot second.
Guys,
all that said,
movies and like Surf Ninjas, Three Ninjas. Can we do all the ninja movies?
Yeah, totally.
Sure.
There was also like Dennis the Menace, Richie Rich.
There was Dennis the Menace for Sandlot.
I know, I saw that. Sandlot featured characters who all millennials know, reference, and like kind of aspired to be when you were that age seeing that movie. And I say all millennials, but I mean the ones born like in 1990 or before.
I don't know. My parents have these friends that are like the 10 years younger, cooler versions of my parents. I don't know. My parents try to stay cool. Nothing wrong with what my parents do. But they've got these friends that are like, no, we go rock climbing. You want to go axe throwing? And like they're only 10 years younger than my parents. And they say to each other, oh, you're killing me, Smalls. And my parents were like, oh, do you know that? Do you remember that movie Sandlot? Oh, you're killing me, Smalls. And like even my parents who are, well into, pushing, let's go with
they're
pushing
boomers.
Septuagenarian. They are.
No, I'm not saying
fans.
It wasn't absolutely for anybody else.
I just mean that it is that prolific that you're right. It's so important that it even goes beyond that.
Yeah. But anyway, I think we know we're picking Sandlot.
Oh, it's got to be Sandlot. I mean, I kind of felt like in a lot of ways, I don't know. I think that music plays in my head when I make out with people, and like it's still Sandlot. Which one of these is better? Oh, right. I have to say goodbye to the one that failed. I kept doing the arm thing. It's an action figure thing. For me, even if Sleepless in Seattle taught me how to love, I think Jurassic Park has aged better by virtue of the fact that Jurassic Park still exists. And there is no Sleepless in Seattle verse starring Chris Pratt as the building. So.
Yeah, I mean, T-Rex versus T-Hanks. I think we know who's going to eat who at the end of the day.
Chet Hanks is going to
as long
eat
as
them
Chet
both.
loses, we all win.
That's true.
I'm also picking Jurassic Park, so I just want to move past Sleepless in Seattle, and we're just done with this.
You bet Jurassic can.
Ooh, for me, I think it is Sister Act.
Yeah. For a lot of reasons, to be honest. I was never really much of a Sandlot kid, and I didn't really bring it up much when we were talking about it, but I was never really much of a Sandlot kid anyway. I found the sequence where they eat the cigarette and then throw up gross. I found the dog
you're the
scary.
It's
I
Chaw.
probably had a crush on Smalls when I was a kid. He seems like the type that I would have had a crush on when I was 7.
Not Benny?
No, little Kevo was into twinks that looked like him. He was that kind of twink.
Little Nico wanted to slap Benny.
If little Kevo was as worldly as older Kevo, yes, but no.
I also think that
bitch.
anybody who ever saw Sandlot 2 said to me that Sandlot 2 was literally like a molestation of their childhood that they'll never forgive. So I haven't seen it. I can't really make any comments on it, but definitely saw some extreme responses. Sister Act was so successful it went on to have a musical that did some good numbers on the West End and then did some West End numbers on Broadway.
I didn't get to mention this when we were talking about it before, but my senior year of high school, we performed Joyful Joyful and did like the whole fucking bit. Like someone did the solo at first, and then we all come out in our colorful clothes and do the whole dance performance. We had this one girl, Sophia, who did the sign language behind the soloist, but she didn't know sign language, but our choir director didn't know that. Yeah. She didn't say anything offensive or anything, but it was a lot of she just sort of studied the movie.
Oh no.
So yeah, that's Cranford for you.
I just signed. I can't even.
I think we're picking Sister Act, right?
Hashtag Sister Act there.
All right.
I did sign language too.
The ultimate face-off.
I do hate it. I do think that Whoopi Goldberg could eat a Tyrannosaurus Rex with her
beat the
teeth.
shit out of a T-Rex.
I beat up the Stegosaurus. Here's its body. But
I'm going to zero in on the 1993 of this though, and say Sister Act is way more 1993, whereas Jurassic Park, having been spawned from this point and being an iconic franchise, is a little bit more.
But that's the question. Which one of these holds up better? Which one of these is more long-lasting? And it's Jurassic Park.
Hold on. No. Holds up better and long-lasting are two different things. I
holds up better as a representation of 1993, though.
We call it a bird course because you fly right through it.
Yeah,
that's not good
answering
dialogue.
your question.
Yes, it is good dialogue. They were cool teens,
dude. I was like 7, and I thought that's what nerds say. That was not cool teens.
So hold on. First off, Jurassic Park is based off a book by Michael Crichton. So already we have thrown ourselves back in time. It's like an old Michael Crichton book too. It's like a 70s or 80s Michael Crichton book.
Oh yeah, God, nobody was even alive back then.
No. My vote is for Sister Act. I think Sister Act to me speaks more about the culture of 1993. Is Jurassic Park a huge blockbuster that, was so successful for its era and really birthed a lot of...
Then I got to change all my answers.
No, you don't. You vote for whatever you want.
But if it's what's more 1993, then my criteria is different. If it's what's more like, what holds up better?
I still think it's Sister Act 2. You don't have to think that. I just think, for me,
how many people are out there singing the shoulda, coulda, wouldas on the streets? Like, I mean, it's just like
you're reciting the movie, and you're like, no. You answered it. TK, it's Sister Act 2.
The movie.
There's bad dialogue in Jurassic Park too.
My vocal coach needed back surgery, in my sophomore year.
This is
no,
a very
freshman
Jenna
year.
Maroney thing that's happening
So,
right now.
My vocal coach,
The boat that I was educated on.
my vocal coach needed back surgery my freshman year, so my vocal group watched this movie on repeat.
All right, what's your vote for, Nico?
Jurassic Park. I think Jurassic
Okay.
Park is a better representation of something from 1993 that has consistent value power on the market.
The name of this game is quite only literally 1993 films bracket fight, and we're making up the rules ourselves. So I'm gonna go with Sister Active.
Fuck this game. This game is biased. I just want to make a question really quick.
What?
Are either one of you Latino?
Are you trying to imply some kind of Jewish conspiracy?
I did not see that coming as the response.
Bravo,
God, guys, that was the most
Evo.
1993.
We
thing
even
I've
picked
ever
the
heard.
Catholic woman, and they still come for us. Ugh.
Oh, Nico, you were just schooled, and we now. Oh my God, I forgot to ask you categories. Ugh. Okay.
Shit, next.
I
Okay.
got it. That was the last category.
Kids in baseball.
Yep.
Kids in baseball.
Yep.
And now,
This is
oh wow,
spooky for kids.
this is spooky for kids.
Spooky for kids.
I'm gonna be really honest here.
Jonah, go away.
This is this is like literally two of the most significant films in terms of a cultural zeitgeist that
Yeah.
actually rejected both of these movies. I understand that the Henry Selick masterpiece, The Nightmare Before Christmas, I could go into my closet right now. I actually have one of the 1995 statues from Tokyo Disney. Like,
Yes.
my parents understood that this meant something to me as a kid. Like, you can't find things that had a bigger influence on my music, my life. I use a minor modulation across half steps in this iteration of Janet Jackson's That's the Way Love Goes, because Oingo Boingo's Danny Elfman said to do it. I shaped my voice to sound like a mix of Danny Elfman and Tori Amos, which is why there are like 3 songs plus Bjork I can sing. I know that Hocus Pocus is one of the most significant things in all of Disney canon, but Jack Skellington's indelible mark on society is second to Batman and Superman, maybe. There is something about The Nightmare Before Christmas that is every single one of us, whether it is Amy Lee or Fiona Apple's breathtaking interpretations of Sally's song, or it's the dream someday of seeing stage techs flare black lights down on a body as they hold a glowing skull in their hand to create the simulation of Jack Skellington on stage. I'm lucky enough to have seen Bette Midler in Hello Dolly. That's not a name drop. You actually all owe me money. What a bummer. But
Who was she with? She was with Victor.
no, she was with David Hyde Pierce. Victor
And-
Garber was the breathtaking performance we saw with Bernadette Peters, who, again, Bernadette Peters, my number 2 and number 3 all-time Broadway performances ever.
I would have
Ever.
flipped them. Now that I'm thinking about it. But anyway.
But yeah, I don't know. I can't say enough about The Nightmare Before Christmas. So few things have ever influenced my life, my music, my heart, my soul. I don't talk about it much because Hot Topic took it from me when I was 17 years old. But
Yeah, that really, really, really put a wrench in loving Nightmare Before Christmas for a while. The way that it was completely co-opted by
I
a
literally
certain subject.
I literally slept with a The Mayor plush in my bed from 8 years old to...
We're not going to let you finish that. Instead, we're going to kick it to Teak. Teak, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean,
For
for
your
me,
own
it's
sake. For your own sake, don't tell us what age.
I'm
Teak.
hot now.
for me, it's absolutely Nightmare Before Christmas. I won't monologue on this one. But
No, I took up all the monologue time for 6 months on this one. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
you're welcome. Yeah, I mean, it's a perfect movie. It's wonderful in every way. We're
Patrick
doing.
Stewart monologue.
Well, and I only want to pose this question in terms of, since we're talking about longevity, franchisization,
Yeah.
legacy. So
Yeah.
Hocus Pocus 3
Yeah.
is definitely coming.
Yeah.
How would we feel about any amount of continuation of Nightmare Before Christmas. I personally feel like it lends itself to some kind of series of animated adventures,
Yes.
like
Yeah.
shorts or specials,
Yeah.
more than a full sequel.
I would much rather something like the New Year's Day That Never Was, that features a New Year's celebration town, and at one point Danny Elfman's Danny Elfman's performance as Jack Skellington is one of the most perfect animated
You
performances.
have 30 more seconds to talk about Danny Elfman for the whole episode.
That's tough, man.
Yeah.
Danny Elfman is perfect. Anyway, yeah, it is not something I would want a sequel to in any way. Jack could show up in something else as long as he's voiced by Danny Elfman.
Not in a major way. I definitely agree to that extent. Not like a major motion picture theatrical
but
giant
Kevo,
push.
what you just pitched is very much a sell for me. Like, if you did 10 I Am Groot lengths vignettes,
Yeah.
with like Shock, Lock, and Barrel that's great.
with
All the
the
different
original
citizens, yeah.
cast, and not the original creative team, because probably some of those people are dead. But
Oh my God, Catherine O'Hara coming back.
yeah, exactly.
She'd love it.
To get a couple big numbers out of it, to see everybody return to this thing, I think something like that would be really fun. It is.
So I guess that was my question: do we feel like a franchisization would ruin this, or do we just love it because it is the One Piece?
It's both. It's it's a little from column A, a little from. I don't think Hocus Pocus 2 was any good. I think in part because they waited too long to make it, and they really they should.
I don't think it was bad, but it wasn't great.
Yeah, it just wasn't. It wasn't special or fun.
I heard the phrase One Piece, and Teak, I don't think you have given me something that inspires me like One Piece has in 100 years. I go to sleep thinking about how much I love Luffy. Like I
love that soundtrack.
Call Me Desi. Oh God, the soundtrack's incredible. I listened to it at the gym this morning. It was a shuffle of that and the 30th anniversary of Music Box.
Did you listen to the song I sent you yet?
Yeah, I listened to the whole soundtrack.
All right.
But yeah, I think it's Nightmare Before Christmas all the way, and always will be. And if you are a kid of a certain age, I will say I was bummed to hear you guys say this thing about Hot Topic. I think being an old school emo kid and also being our age and getting this movie in theaters, I was lucky enough to completely miss the Hot Topification of certain like cultural touchstones of our era.
As long as you don't have to link for Hot Topic, where I bought my winter single, where I bought my the
Hot Topic was an excellent resource for certain things that you might want, but Hot Topic never sold me anything that was like already had a subculture around it, or ruined anything for me due to overexposure.
Well, that's because you found drugs a year earlier than I did.
I think I found drugs a few years earlier than you, but we'll set that aside for now.
Well, speaking of things we need to set aside, I just want to give him one moment. Danny Elfman, I've made a lot of jokes real quick.
1,000.
Actually, no. Danny Elfman is why I want to compose. Like, Danny Elfman, I don't know. The guy went from making songs like Dead Man's Party to Batman, and
look at him. Life's tough.
But he is quite
life's
literally
tough for weirdos. So good for him.
If you want to hear the best vocal performance until Jeff Buckley shrieked his way through Grace, Dead Man's Party really represents a pop masterpiece of vocal exquisite talent, and I love Danny Elfman, and
they play at our gym way too much for no reason, but it's not the weirdest song or worst song they play at our gym, that's for sure.
No, and so I just want to say that 1993 could not have been what 1993 was without Danny Elfman's brilliant score and soundtrack to the Nightmare Before Christmas, though he did not do all of the score. The score was influenced by him, and another composer came in and finished it out. But I just really, really love Danny Elfman. Thanks for giving me that minute. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Aladdin, you can fuck yourself, Homeward Bound. I hated animals because of this movie, actually.
I have to write this down. You gotta...
Teak, by the way, your green screen.
Oh my God. How?
Well, what sucks is you look so great in green. I kind of haven't wanted to say anything for the last 4 minutes because it like looks really good on your complexion. But
Has it been that long? Do I have that bad ADHD that I did not notice for that long?
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it's been.
Is your background gone, or is it?
It's just green.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
There you
there
go.
it
So
is.
weird.
Your teacher says take off your robes. So this is Big
that's
Disney. Go ahead.
no, that was just no. Go. What was the other animals going home movie?
Oh gosh.
Milo and Otis?
Yes, thank you.
Well, because I'm about to
Is
say
that-
it definitely wasn't Rita and Run.
I never saw it. Is that what the plot was? Because I always just thought Milo and Otis was another fox and a hound, and I was like, pass.
It's a little bit of both.
I learned in the production of this episode that Homeward Bound: The Incredible Journey is in many ways a remake of the 1963 Disney film The Incredible Journey. A cursory look at the plot tells me it's not identical in any way, not just because the animals talk.
It is a remake though. Like it is.
Yes.
You know, it's
The
a
ending
remake.
scene sounds pretty identical,
Yeah,
where the old dog doesn't come at first and then he does, and you're all happy.
The only
like-
reason the animals don't talk is because that effect would have been too expensive in 1963.
Yes, 100%. And
Different actors though, weirdly. Not the
What do you
same
mean?
dog and cat. That was a joke because
oh,
they die.
I thought you were like saying for the sequels, because then there's a sequel to this goddamn movie too,
Yes,
where
there
they
is.
lost in San Francisco of all fucking cities. Sure.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the name of Don Amici was Shadow, was the old dog. That's right. It was Don Amici, Sally Field, and Michael J. Fox. I mean,
lengths
yes.
they went to get our parents to sit through these films by casting people who cost 50 times too much for voice performances that were so generic you could forget they were even in the movies while looking at the IMDb.
Yep. Although they didn't have IMDb back then, which how wild is that?
I meant Kevo right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, this is clearly going to Aladdin.
No, it is. Seminal classic. It was the first Disney princess movie that felt like it was very strongly geared toward boys.
And gay boys especially.
I literally was sending Kevo images to put up on the screen that are the Aladdin doll that I had as a kid, where I remember saying to my uncle, and like I turned to my uncle, who my uncle is now, you know, he's a retired military man, but for many years was a very fit military man, and being like, why does my doll have abs? And him being like, well, because some men look like that. And with
those are called cum gutters.
yeah, no, Uncle John never once said that phrase. It'd be funny.
Wouldn't put it past him though.
Right? But like I remember holding this toy and being like, oh wow, this is like a sexy
Even that
boy, I
kid
guess?
is grabbing it by the dick.
Yeah, that kid knows what's up. I think that's an adult's hand just from how intense the hold is. This cost me $13.49. I can't believe it. No, I remember having that toy with those accessories, that lamp, that Abu.
Yeah.
You guys notice the Abu, his feet are pinched and his left arm is pinched.
Yes,
it's actually so
because-
he could hang
Yeah.
from Aladdin. He had these beautiful clothes to change into. And that was actually an experience for me as somebody who never was drawn to G.I. Joe. Having a male Barbie to play with that felt like an adventure toy, not like, because the Kenergy is great. I'm here for the
Absolutely.
Kenergy.
Yeah.
But even as a kid, I was like, this is the Kenergy. I want the Barbies. Like, this was a boy.
But
And
you
like,
wanted like action Barbies, and I completely
Exactly.
get it because I was definitely that same type of gay boy where like I loved the Disney oeuvre, hooked from the beginning. Remember
From the
watching
beginning.
Little Mermaid on VHS in our first apartment, so I was like 4 or 5, and I still vividly remember.
I remember, thinking
remember-
Flounder would have made a cute boy.
Yeah, totally. I remember rushing my parents out the door to go to this movie and vividly remember little 7-year-old Kevin urgently screaming, "The critics say it's better than Beauty and the Beast!" And like, I was just so hyped to have a Disney adventure movie that had the romance, and it also had I had that Jafar final action playset where it was the
Ooh.
giant snake
Mhm.
throne. I had the Cave of Wonders playset. Like, this really, I think, was
Yeah.
one of the things that cemented the Disney princess and the Disney Renaissance as like a thing that had
Yeah.
truly, like, the critics had accepted it through Beauty and the Beast, and this is what made it very clearly this is for all kids.
Yep.
Well, and I think
Absolutely.
if you ever have the opportunity to make it out to New York City, the place where they make most of the salsa in America, if you ask 1993's commercials, if you ever make it out to New York City and you get a chance to see the Aladdin musical, it's a totally different show. It's a totally different experience. And that's kind of what we're talking about. The magic that is encaptured in this film is the sort of thing that is transformative across time. There's actually no real interpretation of Abu in the musical. Instead, he is
Unfortunately.
3 dudes. And that's awesome. They have a cool number. It's a fun thing. But my actual favorite piece of Aladdin media ever, other than the weird way I found myself sexually attracted to Genie Jafar as a kid, was specifically in Tokyo Disney. There is a secondary park called Tokyo Disney Sea, and Tokyo Disney Sea is a really breathtaking experience. If you ever have the chance to make it out to Tokyo Disney, I'd spend my day in Tokyo Disney Sea, which features 8 mystic ports, all focused around this magical international waters. And one of them is the Arabian Coast, and the theme song for Arabian Coast is such a banger. It's insane.
If you're a Disney person, do yourself a favor and look up the soundtrack for Tokyo Disney Sea, because so many of the tracks, it's truly breathtaking.
Mermaid Lagoon,
especially as Disney Parks people, like, who love Disney Park theming and music and always find it so amazing. The effort they put into this one land and the fact that they're not doing more with that concept is bizarre.
So Aladdin. Okay.
Big critical hits. A Few Good Men versus Groundhog Day, which is
Was
very
Groundhog Day a critical hit at the time?
Yes.
Was it?
People didn't understand why critics loved Groundhog Day.
I actually think now it's gone in the opposite direction, where I feel like more critics are like, Groundhog Day is Groundhog Day, whereas like the common people, more
Yes.
little folks like us, think more about Groundhog Day positively.
You wanna live like
this is going to be a 3-hour episode. Everybody should just fuckle the buck up and just shut and get with it, because this is going to be what happens. But we have the opportunity to talk about something on this show we have not talked about, and I'm very excited about it. A Few Good Men represents the first major theatrical playwright work of Aaron Sorkin's adapted for major theatrical experience. Now, A Few Good Men itself is a flawed film directed by somebody hoping to capture the magic of the stage show. Now, I've watched video of the original stage show. Yeah. A Few Good Men is such an exquisite script. It is one, if you ever have the opportunity to look at the only real textbook for script writing in the entire world, JMS Script Writing, John Michael Straczynski, he speaks extensively about the quality of Aaron Sorkin's writing and points to A Few Good Men, and specifically the play over the film. It holds up so beautifully. Now, this film is not great. This film is good, but the play is better. I hate myself, but I can't give it to the Aaron Sorkin movie. I have to give it to the Bill Murray movie.
No, you're giving it to the Harold Ramis movie.
You know what? Harold Ramis.
Wow, that's so weird that this is Harold Ramis versus Rob Reiner.
Harold Ramis is one of those people who should have his name next to Steven Spielberg all the time and is forgotten like he's some sort of Rosalind Kind.
I don't think he is forgotten. I think he is not understood.
I mean, he's dead, so
well, yes.
I mean,
that part's very true, and boy, does that make it tough.
Thumbs down for dead.
He would laugh at that joke.
He really would.
You would. There you go.
it's one of those that he was lucky enough to direct so many movies with great actors who became really known for their work. And it's not really...
As a kid, I had a huge crush on Dan Aykroyd.
Of course you did. Of course you did.
Doesn't that fill in so many blanks?
No, it just adds to an already rich tapestry.
Yep. Yeah, it does.
It's just some gold lame fabric on there. So, Steven Spielberg tends to be the exception when it comes to, like, we just don't know a lot of directors. Harold Ramis is, I think a lot of people do know Harold Ramis, just not as many people as Spielberg, which is unfortunate. End of the day, incredible director. I think in this case did make the better movie. A Few Good Men is well written, certainly, and interesting. It is without any joy or sense of fun.
It is the driest interpretation of rich material I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Everything of the zeitgeist of A Few Good Men in pop culture can literally be whittled down entirely
You can't
handle the truth.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
Sorkin has done more for, like, penetrating, dramatic writing with flair about the government. Even the military in, like, select episodes of West Wing.
Hold on. If we're going to talk about the quality of Aaron...
60?
Well, if we're going to talk about... you funny son of a bitch. Charlie Wilson's War represents such a beautiful attempt to interact with the idea of the American military infrastructure under Aaron Sorkin in a post-Aaron Sorkin is a billionaire sort of world. Aaron Sorkin is certainly not a billionaire, but you find me another writer whose name carries caveat like Aaron Sorkin's does post-Norman Mailer. Good luck. I'm a sit back.
Yeah. So, I just... Sorkin is so weird, but handles his shit, takes care of business, and knowing that, I think A Few Good Men actually is kind of unimpressive on, like, a lot of levels.
So many levels.
I also want to point out something that I just learned as I'm doing my little side research while we talk. Rob Reiner already got a win on this list because he directed Sleepless in Seattle.
Yes, he sure did.
No, germane to our earlier conversation, that he also directed When Harry Met Sally.
Yeah. They're all...
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're all Nora Ephron. They're all Nora Ephron, Rob Reiner. I honestly think Nora Ephron tends to be the one that we remember more.
I just want to say something real dark. I wish I was Jack Quaid's dad. Meg Ryan in the 90s is like the knockout of the millennia. What a fucking perfect example of how the 90s said a woman can be beautiful. That's what I say, Meg Ryan.
Jack Quaid. No, you said you wish you were Jack Quaid's dad. I'm saying I wish I was Jack Quaid's
Yeah, he's saying he wants to knock up Meg Ryan.
Yeah. I'm saying I want to be Meg Ryan knocked up.
I got it. That's awesome. Yeah.
I'm a gay man. What's up?
Hot. No, but like I just think that one of the things
we're not all pan.
One of the things we're talking about is that the 1990s had this weird visual sensibility. I don't think that this interpretation of Tom Cruise would be sexy by today's standards, but I think this interpretation of Bill Murray continues to pass as the romantic male lead in an unlikely way. I do think that we have definitely raised the standards for what we think a woman needs to look like, and I think that's gross. We need to give them back to a place where women can feel beautiful, but I think that there would be an unnecessary amount of makeup on Demi Moore in a modern A Few Good Men, unless she was played by Hilary Swank looking like, Plank from Ed, Edd and Eddy.
Or it would be... it would be Catherine Bigelow directed, and it would be Kristen Stewart, and it wouldn't be that. It could go in either direction.
Man, I would literally bring back A Few Good Men to have Kristen Stewart in the Tom Cruise role.
Yeah. We're giving this to Groundhog Day, because of course we are.
We have to.
And, oh, man, this was the one that I was...
man.
So you had this listed just as family movies, and I was like, I'm going to put sorta at the front of this one, because I don't disagree that there was something about the 90s where they were pitching the weirdest movies as appropriate for the whole family. Yeah. My mom, and Nico, you remember my mother, took us to see the Brady Bunch movie.
Greatest mother-in-law in the entire world, by the way.
Yeah, but that is not the type of movie she would normally take her children to. But it was pitched as though, look, it's the Brady Bunch. Everyone can go
Yeah.
see this.
Yeah.
Look, it's the Addams Family. They're just going to talk about coitus.
Okay.
I mean,
first of all,
I think sorry, go ahead.
no, I mean, first of all, as a Latino man, I have very specific memories of Gomez Adams, and like,
Oh, yeah, I get that.
my dad is
Yep.
a very white Latin man in an okay way. You know, he was raised in the 1960s. His understanding of Latino heritage is assimilationism, and I think that's okay. I'm not here to tell my dad how to be Latino any more than I want anybody else to tell me how to be Latino. But so I learned how to be Latino watching Ricky Ricardo bounce his pecs and watching Gomez Adams slowly kiss up Morticia's arm. And like, I don't know, it sounds silly, but I genuinely always think of the Addams Family as a very sexual thing. And whether that's because Raul Julia is beautiful or because Addams Family was always maybe edgy in my memory because of
The baby's name is Pubert.
Yeah. I mean,
it is a sexual movie. Like, it is and not even like a sexy movie, but it is
Yeah.
a movie wherein part of horror is that sex is horrific,
We're
but
just
then also
lucky that-
beautiful.
we're lucky that one of the plot lines isn't that Pugsley has a mutant humongous penis because
Yeah.
that is this universe.
Yeah, well, I think that is a plot line that you can get to yourself. They were smart enough to not be like, this will be good for the movie. Wednesday wasn't horny at any point, but also like kind of was. Again, it's
Eat
also
me.
subtle.
Hey, it's
Sauteed or
Thanksgiving Day.
barbecued.
Yeah.
I like that we went with the first and second verse. Yeah, this movie is perfect on a lot of levels.
No! They bought me Malibu Barbie. This is a movie that taught me that Joan Cusack could do anything she put her mind to.
Yep.
We're lucky.
Meanwhile, I
Yeah.
thought the funniest punchline of anything was Morticia listing all the things that Debbie had done. All that I can respect.
Pastels.
But Debbie, pastels?
Yeah.
That was where my father explained to me what pastels were. And then I thought it was the funniest thing I'd ever heard in my life.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Mrs. Doubtfire.
Oh my God, it really is so great. Like, for one thing, we're now in the divorce boom. So, like, everybody's...
Yeah, I have no
things-
stake in this movie outside of Harvey Firestein meant a lot to me.
Well, and I was
There's
going to get to
great
that,
things
too.
about it, but there's
Yeah.
things about it that also kind of are a little too rough for me.
Okay.
So you go, but I just wanted to throw that out there.
I mean, we're in the middle of the divorce boom, and there are so few... It's like this and Kramer versus Kramer. Like, there's just not a lot for...
Which is insane.
Yes. There's just not a lot at this point.
No, not the Kramer. Your parents are still together. Shut up.
Exactly. There's just not a lot for kids at this point. And then it's not funny. Like, it's an after school, or it's a very special episode of Saved by the Bell. Like, there's nothing funny or fun that can also like get real for a moment. And 90s comedies had this very much like start funny, have one sad bit, funny, like climactic sad bit, melancholy but still funny / upbeat ending. And a 90s kid's parents divorce actually fits perfectly into that, because ultimately it's probably for the best. And it's still really sad and traumatic to you, but the world moves on and everything's fine. So if you can figure out how to find the humor, it really can do a lot. Mrs. Doubtfire was phenomenal for all that. Robin Williams at his absolute best.
Pierce
of course,
Brosnan literally
yeah.
programming my brain to think what a sexy man should look like. Like the way they
100%.
highlight that Pierce Brosnan, this man that my dad and mom watched every week on Remington Steele. So like Pierce Brosnan was a part of
However,
my childhood.
I am not sure Sally Field was the right pick for this film.
Oh my God!
in
Would it have
her
been better if it was
second-
Kirstie Alley?
In her second entry on this list, I think she's better as the cat. I don't know. I don't understand why her character would have married Robin Williams in the first place. She seems so sour and angry and old and
as a
mean.
Robin Williams type person, and by that I mean as a guy who doesn't know when to stop trying to jump in with jokes. No, Sally Field would have no use for me until in her brothers and sisters days, where she's become America's sweetest mom.
I don't think I agree. I think you can see where she used to be fun, and then
the Flying Nun used to be fun.
And she got a good job. She had these kids. It all makes sense to me.
See where she used to be nice.
I can see where you used to really like her. You used to really like her.
And I'm not even one of those people that's like, he was deceiving her. Like, no. Calm down.
It was kabuki theater. Calm down.
Well, and then that's the other really big element. It's, Robert Williams doing drag, going to his gay brother.
You know what he was saying. Shut up, you bitch.
Going to his gay brother to get into drag, them having the makeover montage and doing matchmaker. I mean, it's iconic. Robin Williams, Harvey Fierstein really is so great. It's so sweet. I can't praise this movie enough, and I think it's really important to take the time to do it because I am voting for Addams Family, and I just don't want it to ever be interpreted as because Mrs. Doubtfire wasn't funny and sweet and what the nation's family needed.
And I really do love it a lot, especially as an adult, but there were some reactions to some of the things in this that still stick with me from little Kevo, where I kind of thought the kids' disgust reaction at first, that made me feel weird as a queer person.
Yeah.
Some of the borderline, and for 1993, it really wasn't homophobic, but some of the stuff just played in a certain way that as a little queer 7 and 8 year old who didn't understand what he was, because thank God kids today have such a better understanding, but we had no idea what gay was really. So I didn't understand what I was growing up to be. And so there were just some things about the way they played a man dressing up as a woman that didn't feel great for me at the time. And now I have a better understanding as an adult, but it's something that makes me think about the way that we present these things to kids now as an adult, because it just wasn't really something that was going into their thought process, I'm sure. For as well-intentioned as it was,
100%,
and for as good as it does ultimately come across, there's just, different things that we understand now.
And I just want to say what a beautiful inheritance that Matthew Lawrence has on this list as somebody who is both in Mrs. Doubtfire and would eventually come to be part of the, for lack of a better term, cultural monolith that Boy Meets World comes to represent for so many people of the 1984 to 2002 generation, thanks to the show's continued streaming and continued reruns on channels like ABC Family and Disney Channel. Matthew Lawrence appeared on a Worst Cooks season, and whatever you want to say about Worst Cooks, I'm not here to have a show that makes me feel happy in a scary, sad world, whatever. It's a dumb show, I know. But Matthew Lawrence used it as an opportunity to talk about his love of bugs, whichever one.
Entomology.
Entomology, thank you. He used it to talk about his love of bugs, and he's still so handsome and he's so funny, and he's like, oh no, I'm no longer a celebrity. My brother Joey, he's famous. I'm just here to have a good time.
The Lawrence brothers really are this unsung underdog trio of the 1990s. Yeah.
Well, and they're getting their bag a little bit because they've now got this podcast wherein they're just right. I know, but the thing is, when you pull some really good celebrity quotes, now all the kids are growing up and telling their stories, and Allison Stoner from Cheaper by the Dozen is doing a huge product about the childhood.
Allison Stoner is literally a goddess on this show because JoJo grew up with her and has said so.
Yeah. No, she absolutely is.
I just see her in. And I was like, holy shit, that's Allison Stoner.
Anyway, we picked Addams Family Values. Of course we did.
Real quick, while we're on the topic, shut up. This is 1993. This is my favorite year.
I'm giving him this one.
Oh,
nothing my love can't fix for you. Whoa.
I mean,
Nothing my love can't fix for you, baby. Debuted after an episode of Blossom. Joey Lawrence having repeated erections in scenes on Blossom is how I know I'm a homosexual.
I was going to say, speaking of repeat erections, my only reaction to Joey Lawrence, that my dick survived the existence of this man
is insane.
His face looked too aggressive for me. That's why I was more into Matthew. I'm going to get Matthew Lawrence, since we're talking about him anyway.
Soft compared to the Greek of Joey's face. Joey had so much good George Michael bone structure.
Yeah.
The other thing that Joey Lawrence provided me was...
This isn't fair, but I'm doing it anyway.
I specifically referenced... Oh, my Lord.
Yeah.
I specifically referenced that I had this older cousin, Robbie, that I've kind of held every man up to the cool standard of. And in my entire life, like, one human being has ever exceeded that. And he's like literally one block below me. But Joey Lawrence represented this cool factor, this, hey, yeah, I'm going to take care of you. But I'm also kind of like just like a guy. And Matthew Lawrence at the same time was always like, yeah, I'm like a guy, but I'm smart and I'm full of feelings. And that's, feelings are fine. I got a lot of feelings. Joey Lawrence looked like he would just literally take it.
Okay, but now I have to get this out because it's really funny that you just said the word Joey so much, because I finally remembered where we saw Allison Stoner.
She was
Joey?
not in an episode of Joey.
She was Joey's critic in that episode where
God!
The episode of Joey where he has the little
online critic.
Yes, he has a
Little
troll.
Girl. Yeah.
And he finds out it's Allison Stoner, and this was like 2006. So I gotta be honest, for all the Joey storylines, him having an internet troll in 2006 was kind of an ahead of its time story.
Man.
So, you guys, I just saw the future, and I can tell you right now, we're about to have a showdown between Addams Family and Nightmare Before Christmas, and I just can't wait for us to get there. But anyway, I'm voting for Nightmare Before Christmas on this one. Yeah.
I actually am too.
Then I will vote for Aladdin and happily lose just to make sure Aladdin gets the points, but I'm not fighting.
If you'd
tooth
given
and
it
nail
Nightmare
by
Before
any
Christmas,
means.
I would have voted for Aladdin and just been like, it had that TV show. And like, I would have flipped my vote. Nightmare Before Christmas just defines pop culture in so many ways.
And Aladdin is amazing. It's the same thing. Like, I mean, Aladdin is, I think, better than Mrs. Doubtfire, but like, we're at the point where we're picking from two amazing things. So,
yeah.
I mean, come on.
No, Addams Family Values.
Of course,
and it
without a second thought.
Groundhog Day for me. But I think culturally, Groundhog Day is remembered better, even if, and this is where it's funny, if you're asking me, Mindy Kaling, who would you rather work with? Angelica Houston or Bill Murray? I think it's going to Bill Murray, but Mindy Kaling, whose humor are you aping more, Groundhog Day or Addams Family Values? It's Addams Family Values, and I don't mean to bring up like a shitbag who wrote Velma the way Mindy Kaling, who once upon a time could have been the inheritor of Lucille Ball-style comedy, but instead chose to take shots at people who were in less advantaged situations than her.
The Mindy Project went downhill fast.
Girl, you wrote the joke, I'm horny for your kisses, which is the literal funniest I'm a needy girl joke as a needy girl. Ugh. Anyway, I think Addams Family Values represents the quality of humor today far better than Groundhog's Day does in a way that is certainly not celebrated enough. Joan Cusack, baby girl, please come on the show. You're welcome. Anytime.
Oh my God, yes.
Groundhog Day taught us a lot about humor.
I appreciate that response.
In that moment, Addams Family Values is the humor we kept with us the entire time. I don't think it taught us about that humor. I think it was
way to think about
funny
it,
right off the bat. So anyway,
I know we praise each other unnecessarily 30% of the time, but legitimately, that's actually excellent.
Cool.
Wait, so did you both vote Addams?
Yeah.
Okay.
I gotta be honest here. This is tough, but I think I have to give it to The Nightmare Before Christmas as more defining of a culture. However, if you ever have the opportunity, any local theater could not possibly do it bad. You could not possibly go wrong. The musical number One Normal Night goes down in history with like Pirelli's Miracle Elixir. It is literally one of the greatest numbers.
An abridged version of the Addams Family musical would be absolutely amazing. It is not worth being 2 acts with an intermission because there's a lot of filler.
But
But
it's not worth the 140.
it's not even just One Normal Night. There's a few bangers. Move Toward the Darkness. There's a lot of really great songs in that
When
musical
you're
with a
in
lot of
Adams.
amazing OBC cast who are like bizarrely in a lot of Tina Fey and Only Murders in the Building. So like I don't even know.
And
But
the
yeah.
single love of my life is the original Morticia. BB Newworth, best legs on Broadway. So, anyway.
I think mine is also for Nightmare Before Christmas, but man, is it tough.
It's tough.
Kevo, if you had an impassioned plea for Addams Family Values, I would listen to it.
I only don't because the other thing that makes it a strike is the fact that it is Addams Family Values and not the original. So it is something that isn't its own piece that can stand by itself.
But that first one's so bad.
It's got good stuff, but it's certainly longer than it needs to be.
You know,
whereas this is, I don't know what I would cut from this movie.
Yeah,
there isn't a minute to cut from this. Down to the fact that you know, the first movie has so many bad jokes using Christopher Lloyd, who other Christopher Lloyd wrote a beautiful tribute to his late wife, and it is actually heart-wrenching. Christopher Lloyd, the comedy writer, was married to the voice actress who created Harley Quinn. So please read that op-ed. It's a really beautiful
1990s.
tribute. Yeah, no, truly. It's a beautiful op-ed to an incredible voice who defined a generation, much in the same way The Nightmare Before Christmas helped capitalize on that same energy that Harley Quinn did. But this Christopher Lloyd has been so supportive of the Back to the Future musical, just to tie it back to musicals for a moment. And this Christopher Lloyd did some really good work in a horrible movie in the first one. And in the second one, he's content to be a bystander when he is a comedy genius. I think perhaps Adams... What?
You think he's worse in the second one than the first one?
No, I think he's as good in the second one, but I feel they wrote him less significant moments in the second one than in the first one, such that Addams Family Values, while it's a terrific film, while I give it an A-, despite the fact that I'm sure critics at the time gave it a C-, it just can't hold up to the fact that there isn't a bad second in The Nightmare Before Christmas. There isn't a bad minute in the Addams Family Values, but there isn't a bad... I mean, I still think about feel my muscles in the Macho Man performance. Like, that's something I literally do.
I disagree with your interpretation of Christopher Lloyd's performance in the two different movies because I find the fact that his performance in the first movie isn't the character to be something that really detracts from my enjoyment of the first Addams Family movie. He's not Fester. He's not Fester for literally 90% of the movie. So what the fuck am I even watching? Whereas this one, everyone is their characters. Everyone has their character pattern down. And I really feel like it's movies like this that are why I personally am always so forgiving of the idea of sequels. Because we had so many banger sequels in this era. We kept naming all these movies where the second movie was... Not that the first movie wasn't good, but we really feel like the second movie is so much stronger. And this is a really good example of that.
How about you, Teak?
I mean, I'm giving it Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're just talking at this point.
We're just enjoying the fact that we were at a seminal developmental age that ultimately shaped our understanding of fiction. This is tough, but The Nightmare Before Christmas is the thing that, literally, I can't go to any store without seeing some sort of Jack Skellington something. Like, it's just what it is.
Yeah.
Yes, I fully agree. God, it's just great in every way. I mean, and you know, if I have to, if they were both perfect in every way except for the original music in Nightmare Before Christmas is better. So, in and of itself, that would be it. But there's a lot of reasons. But yeah, I think Nightmare Before Christmas, the ultimate film champion of 1993.
Hello.
All right. Well, now it's time to get to them bops. But I think before we get to them bops, we're going to take a quick bop out to a commercial. This amazing guy below us has recently redesigned our commercials. So whether it's going to run right now or in the near future, you should definitely take a look at all of the amazing programming available here on the X's for Show network. One of the things that I'm so excited about when I think about years, 1993 might have been a banner year for media, but 2023 was a banner year for X's for Show as we finally combined X's for Podcast with HTML and birthed a new creature. It might only be one letter different in the acronym, but what we do now is 1,000% unique. Whether you come here for the bracketeering or the deal breakers kind of game shows, or you come here for our coverage of things like Drag Race, Project Runway, our obsessive new coverage of One Piece, man, I'm ready to watch all 1087. Or you come here for our general comics coverage, which is certainly where this whole thing started. We have a lot of content available for you. We have over 1,000 podcast episodes available, and we have over 200 videos available for you across all platforms. So definitely check us out. And while you check out that commercial, enjoy the music that I have composed for you guys. Currently, we are listening to the incredible Janet Jackson, That's Where Way Love Goes, which was the #1 in 1993. The whole focus of our episode, this whole thought experiment, I almost said our whole thought experiment is Janet Jackson, but it's not because I don't control the universe. Kevo, you want to bang us into that commercial?
Yes, I do.
So, TK, I see your first entry, and I've actually been really curious about your first entry on the list.
Ooh, yeah.
Because I didn't know anything about this.
Did you really not?
No.
Really
Never heard of this in my life.
Yeah, this is like pizza. Never heard of it. So
yeah, I've never heard
I'm
of
shocked
pizza.
that you two, of all people. Back at the height of his popularity doing Battlestar Galactica, Ron D. Moore shot a pilot for a show called 17th Precinct, featuring it wasn't during the height of Battlestar. It was just after the height of Battlestar Galactica, because
is that Jamie Bamber and
because everybody from Battlestar Galactica was on it. You had Trisha Helfer, Jamie Bamber, James Callis.
And James Callis, yep.
But you know who was not on Battlestar Galactica, who was an enormously important person on this show? Abby Bartlett herself. Stockard Channing.
I have to say, I was super into Matt Long, who is pictured here with Abby Bartlett.
Yes.
He was on, was it Sorkin's or Berlanti's Jack and Bobby? That
Berlanti's
WB show. And then he had some other stuff. But yeah.
Oh, yes.
So much of this cast was crazy.
Having seen Stockard on Broadway, that's how much I love her. I'll be ugly for a second. Having seen Stockard on Broadway a few times, actually, I love her so much I could die. She's so good.
You can also see just over to the left, Isai Morales is there.
Pre the bad one.
I guess maybe it's post Caprica.
Yes, Tori, Jack and Bobby.
Jack and Bobby, that's right. So yeah, they.
So, TK, I see your first entry, and I've actually been really curious about your first entry on the list.
Ooh, yeah.
Because I didn't know anything. Ladies, gentlemen, and all of my royalty that does not fit one of those two binary categories, welcome back to X's for Show. I just want to say that there is only one thing in this entire world that I love more than these two guys, and that is music. And it turns out when I take a look at 1993's music charts, it is an unbelievable amount of the songs that define me as not just a creator, but as a fan. Everybody knows that my holy trinity are, I pray to the Mimi, the Janet, and to the holy Tori Amos. And that is who I am as a person. There's a lot of other notable mentions up there, but that is three who really define me. Now, a woman who certainly does not define my fandom in large, but is a huge part of who I am as a composer is Madonna. And she also had a good year in 1993. If you were a diva who leaned R&B or dance heavy, god damn it, 1993 was the year for you. However, if you were anybody else, apologies, because you simply did not make the number ones chart that year. 1993 as a year was dominated by R&B and soul vibes, despite being a year that still did not have room for the world of the Black community. This is an example of a year where art reflected a desire to embrace change more than the world did. And I think that's something that the charts then ultimately kind of regrets. For every time you buy a number one single by a new artist like the Spice Girls and you take a chance on Wannabe and it turns out Emma Bunton is somebody that you're going to love for the next, 20 years of your life, great. But every time you buy Who Is, Jimmy Ray, well, fuck. And
No.
Wait, was that 1993?
no, it wasn't. But my point is that
God.
1993 has both of those.
Okay.
It's got Spice Girls and it's got Who Is Jimmy Ray. And we have an unbelievable bracketeering that reminds me why I love taking a look at music from yesteryear. One of the biggest losses for me in celebrities in 2023 was Gordon Lightfoot, who wrote a phenomenal amount of the back catalog that I love more than anything. And so that was a tough loss for me. And so, I'm talking about a guy who grew up wearing a Fleetwood Mac Rumors t-shirt to school.
You still have that shirt.
I still do. Why am I bringing that up? Because I don't think in 2023 there's any shame in taking a look at 1993 any more than I thought there was shame in taking a look at 1978 back in 2008, right? 2008 sounds like I'm trying to be particular. So I just want to start with the music of 1993 is all, it's what it is. But it's an era that defines our understanding of music. Now, if you think about the cyclical pattern of about every 20 years, things come back into vogue, or every 30 years, if it's taking a little bit longer. I'm looking at you, swing music. The music of 1993 is seeing a really great resurgence. New Jack Swing has seen rebirth in the sounds of K-pop in the last 5 years. And I think that so much of 1993 has done so much to influence the boy band girl group generation of the late 90s. And we can still see the influence of Britney Spears on every moment of our musical landscape today. So I just want to start with, in 1993, Tori Amos was 1.5 records in. Mariah Carey had 2 down, was working on her 3rd. Whitney Houston went from that interesting R&B dance girl to a national treasure and rewrote what we understood about the national anthem performance. So I want to ask you guys, when you think about music from your childhood, beyond the scope of simply 1993 as a demarker, what, kind of predominates that sense of 90s music for you? For me, it is probably Gloria Estefan, who every time we went to Florida to see my grandmother, I would get in the car and scream, "I go see Gloria! I go see Gloria!
You were going to see Gloria.
I go see Gloria!" Because, as a child, there was nothing that could have made me happier on the planet than seeing my idol, Gloria Estefan. That I one time met an incredible gay man who had served in the military and had the largest collection of Gloria Estefan collectibles I've ever seen in my entire life. And that day, my heart grew 3 sizes. So I know you're still out there, guys.
Right.
one of the greatest days of my life. A blur looking at an original vinyl of Dr. Feelgood. I can't even talk about it. Okay.
I think this is one of those areas where, you know, when you're a kid, you really have no concept of adults. And, like, how much Mariah Carey was everywhere is why I thought Mariah Carey was an old woman already when we were children.
Maggie
Because
Smith, whistle tone.
I didn't think it was possible for someone who carried herself as such an adult. Like, she wasn't, like, some sort of teeny bopper or anything. I thought she was a fucking grown-up. So when I found out that she was not, like, that old by the time we were teenagers, I was shocked. But definitely a lot of her work, the stuff that's on this list, definitely a lot of the early 90s for me. Yeah.
You know, TK, you're a fucking trendsetter. You were a kindergartner fucking listening to the Jenna Torturers and Bjork. So, like, you know, when I think about the things that predominate your early listening experience, you know, you might not have listened to critical darlings like Handel, but, you know your breeders from your Kim Deal. And so when you think about 1993 and music, which is such a part of who you are, what do you think about? Are you just a rat in a cage? Or, are you going around the world to try and find your baby?
I mean, it all kind of gets summed up here. This is actually taken maybe just very late 93, if not early 94. This is, of course, RuPaul holding Frances Bean Cobain right there next to Kurt, and you can see Dave Grohl in the background.
The only human being that I will actually, for 1 minute, begin to accept that Morpheus would accept as a god in a pantheon on the entire planet. The coolest man to ever live, Dave Grohl, my actual hero on Earth.
The only thing I regret about this photo when they showed it on actual Drag Race was RuPaul not saying to her, "What would you say?"
Oh my God,
to
Kevo.
this little girl.
Oh my God, Kevo.
Man, Dave Grohl is like the actual, he is the coolest human on the planet. When you think about people who you don't always associate with an understanding of when they came from, Dave Grohl is standing in this photo next to RuPaul. When you associate something with the 90s, you associate Nirvana with the 90s. You might even associate RuPaul. But understanding that cross-section, that intersection, that's what we're celebrating about 1993. 1993 was the moment where we said the helix is double, and there are two sides of everything.
And that was my vibe for the music. You know, like, I danced around my house like a little gay boy to Supermodel, but I also really loved Nirvana. The Nirvana Unplugged record absolutely changed my life. I think probably to this day it remains one of my most listened to albums of all time.
Yo, let's do all the Unplugged, because all I ever want to talk about is Maxwell Unplugged being one of the coolest things, teaching me that R&B can be on an acoustic guitar. Yeah. And every time I say welcome to Jam Rock, I am referencing the Alicia Keys Unplugged.
I mean, you know, Tori Amos, Fiona Apple, Shakira, like all the greats.
The Shakira Unplugged.
The Shakira Unplugged is perfect. There's not a bad moment.
2 discs of phenomenal. Please watch the video because the audio doesn't do it justice.
That underneath your clothes.
Yes. So, you know, like, we've got Mariah Carey songs on this list, and I just remember, I mean, like, for me, this is peak Mariah, but then, you know, we don't have any Cranberries on this list, but No Need to Argue was a hugely important album to me. I've always loved the Cranberries.
Okay, for me, it's To the Faithfully Departed, and I think I Just Shot John Lennon is one of the coolest things I've ever heard.
Yeah.
1993 was Everybody Else, whatever the rest of that
Everybody else
album.
is doing it,
but why can't we?
Yeah.
I took lilting lessons. I literally took lilting lessons. I can't even say it. I took lilting lessons professionally so that I would be able to sing Dreams, because Dolores O'Riordan's voice in 1993.
Did you really?
I did.
That's a thing.
I took Gaelic lessons and I took lilting lessons. I really wanted to be able to sing Irish folk music as a child, and so I took a lot of lessons toward things that I ultimately decided were a lifetime of commitment when I have about a porno length of commitment to anything.
That is a really, really, really apt description of yourself.
So, this was an era in which everything felt connected in a way that, and that just might have been my kid brain making all the connections.
No, this was who did it was Katie Lang and Cindy Crawford.
Yeah. In
the shaving photo. This was an era of great connection. I think your thesis stands on magazine covers alone.
Yeah. So, that's what I think about for this era. Like I said, I think if you had not laid down some criteria for how we would pick the items to be judged, this would have become pure chaos, because there are so many things that I would have been like, how can we not put this on here? This is the song of 1993. And it may be to me subjectively, and I'm correct, but in terms of like numbers, that's a different story. And my subjective but correct opinion aside, we had to come up with something. So
I also just want to say one other thing came out in 1993 that I think is still so influential, but we kind of don't acknowledge it in the same way. Like that photo that shows the queen of all reality television standing alongside, the king of being a drummer. So, of course, I'm referring to Omarosa and Ringo Starr. Obviously, it's from Paul and Dave Grohl. But Rhythm is a Dancer by Snap came out in 1993. And I genuinely think if you've never taken 10 seconds to listen to what might be one of the most important songs of its generation and genre, Rhythm is a Dancer. It's a soul's companion. You can feel it everywhere. Lift your hands and voices, free your mind and join us. I'm not here to read the whole song, but I just want to say Rhythm is a Dancer is one of those pieces of music that if Baz Luhrmann was still making movies that anybody paid attention to, he would have the Mormon Tabernacle Choir come together to sing a beautiful arrangement of. And, speaking of people whose voices could change everything, Kevo, thank you so much for playing my arrangement of Anytime You Need a Friend, which is for me the standout piece on Music Box. My Whitney Houston is probably a little bit more 1987 and 1997 than is 1993. I love I Will Always Love You. I think Dolly Parton is an actual deity. I don't even accept her as a human being
now you're just
anymore.
rambling.
But I have to give this to Hero. Nothing says more about where music went than Hero. I Will Always Love You was a beautiful reflection of where music was and what music had done. And it's a realization of everything that music was working toward. But Hero is a statement on where schlock was going in a way very few songs could. There would be no Never Had a Dream Come True by S Club 7 without Hero, more than I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston.
I totally hear what you're saying, and I think it's a really fascinating connection. For me, there would be no My Heart Will Go On without I Will Always Love You.
Wow. Excellent read.
If we're doing it that way, then that's what I would have to go with. I think you are right in that Hero is a more forward-facing song. It's a more future-facing song. That isn't quite enough to get me there on the vote. It also, I think, is one of her, I don't want to say weakest ballads, but it's not a strong one to me when I think of some of the ones I really love.
She debuted this on the Arsenio show. You watch your dog pound mouth.
That I Will Always Love You is a Dolly Parton song originally. It is pulling from the past, but I think it has the longevity of few songs that in existence that will ever exist. I think the power of Whitney's voice in that moment stands as a monument to who she was as an artist for all time, where I think Hero just doesn't for me for Mariah. It's not that it is in any way a bad song. There's just other songs that I think of when I think about how amazing Mariah Carey is. And, if I could not pick the Bodyguard soundtrack for one of the things that makes the movie great, I think I can pick I Will Always Love You for one of the things that really made 1993 such a year.
Well, bittersweet memories. Kevo, what do you think?
Something that I really enjoy about putting these two together is that they do have such a very similar vibe, though, insofar as Hero feels like it could be in a similar theme of The Bodyguard.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that fascinating in a...
Where?
Because I love that you were like, which one did you say there'd be no My Heart Will Go On?
I Will Always Love You.
He said there would be no My Heart Would Go On without I Will Always Love You.
I feel like Hero is a lot more like when Alanis Morissette retroactively wrote You're Uninvited for City of Angels, where it feels like it's got a similar vibe to this thing that already exists, but it's not related. But like for the overall feel and for comparing these two, I really feel like I Will Always Love You comes out on top. Hero is just... The pacing is just a little bit too slow, I think. It's something I've always felt about the song. Yes, and that makes it less romantic, and it's neither romantic nor haunting. It's in this weird in-between space where it's not really accomplishing either.
I feel like if you had pitted Greatest Love of All against Hero, I would have given it to Hero.
That's a terrible song.
Yeah.
Song, but I hear what you're saying.
No.
That's really fair, though. And Mariah's later on this list, too, so she's fine. She'll come out on top.
Yeah. So, Kevo, you're voting I Will Always Love You?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I was exceptionally drunk at my bachelor party and sang I Will Always Love Jewish People to one of my groom's people who was of the chosen folk and encouraged it loudly. And it was a 2-day hangover that I have been reminded of the events of in between.
If you are not the quickest on the uptake, I'll say it so Nico doesn't have to. He was singing I Will Always Love Jews.
I was...
Well, you're allowed to say it.
I had 6 bulldogs in 2 hours.
Listen, I'm okay with it. I don't always love them, so...
This was 12 years ago. It was a different time.
I mean, if you don't think that the chosen people had something to do with Peebo Bryson and Regina Belle, and also Meatloaf and whatever woman he has sung with since 1974.
Oh, they absolutely had something to do with Meatloaf.
I need to say that I don't give a shit about Meatloaf. Yeah, no, he's a beautiful vocalist, but Josh Groban's entire catalog of Meatloaf's catalog would be just as good. What made Meatloaf's music good was Jim Steinman.
Okay. I have a question.
Yeah.
And it's been in my head for the last 10 minutes that I typed up all the things to put all the titles here.
Yeah.
I'm seeing epic duets.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm seeing Peebo Bryson and Regina Belle.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm seeing Meatloaf.
Kevo, that's a very fair question.
So who was the mashed potatoes of this duet?
Do you want this, Nico?
It's that late. I honestly don't know enough about it.
Okay, so
it's the answer is usually just some lady.
Yeah, basically. So I mean, it's Lorraine Crosby is who is singing. She is not who is in the video.
I don't think she could possibly sound the way she does on Paradise by the Dashboard Light, one of the greatest story songs in the history of Americana, not to be sung by Cher, and still sound the way she does on I Would Do Anything for Love and look like the 21-year-old in the video.
It is very frustrating because the song was produced with like Cher, Bonnie Tyler.
Jim Steinman wrote Total Eclipse of the Heart.
Yeah. So a lot of other people were considered. So Lorraine Crosby's track was recorded as a guide track. Very common for that to happen. But
That's
Lorraine
the
Crosby,
guide track.
yeah, Lorraine Crosby received no royalties, and
Strike.
did not go on to have
Fuck.
a great career. And I think getting featured on this as a duet could have really actually changed that. And so it's one of the things that makes me really sad. Yeah,
Because, like,
exactly.
you know
Shame.
what? Do you know
This
what
still
song-
happens today. Continue.
You know what
Sorry,
song
Nico.
nobody considers is like the greatest Jim Steinman song of all time?
Yeah.
Literally a god of songwriting. And he wrote It's All Coming Back to Me Now.
Oh yeah.
Can you imagine if this had been shifted 3%?
Did he really?
Yes.
Yes, he wrote It's All Coming
Yeah.
Back
Very
to Me Now.
funny
the
to
greatest
me.
Song.
Yeah.
One of the
Because
greatest.
one of
Which
the-
Meatloaf later recorded as a duet.
And it's awful.
It's
One
terrible.
of-
It's unlistenable.
One of the greatest story climaxes of Glee, them reaching nationals for the first time, is
Yeah.
then them doing a Jim Steinem medley because they do It's All
Yes.
Coming Back to Me into Paradise by the Dashboard Light.
Yep.
That's
There's
correct.
one
Oh
thing
my
in between
God.
them, and it's Lady Gaga, and that's it.
Please tell
Yeah.
me that it's Santana
it?
and Leah Michelle with all of the leads.
It's
I
definitely
mean, it's-
Leah Michelle.
Yeah, no, and it's obviously it's gonna be Rachel and Finn doing the lead.
Yeah.
It's there.
Yeah, I don't think Santana's in it at all, actually.
I just want to
No,
say
she's
that
there. She's doing stuff. She's dancing. She's cute. She's
Right.
great.
Sorry. I mean, she's not doing a lead vocal.
If
Nico,
you
go
ask
ahead.
me who are the greatest playwrights of all time, like greatest songwrite playwrights of all
Yeah.
time, Tim Rice is so high up that list. I am not here to come for Jesus Christ Superstar, but this is the depths. This is the worst moment in the Disney Renaissance. Aladdin,
Yeah.
the A- of the Disney Renaissance, is the worst moment for me. Aladdin is not Beauty and the Beast. It is not Little Mermaid. It is not Lion King. It is not Pocahontas as a soundtrack. Pocahontas is a terrible film, but it's an A+ soundtrack. And
If the
this-
soundtrack doesn't connect to the movie, then
No,
it's just
guys,
an album.
you're
Then it's
asking
just
me
an
to rate-
album.
No, you're asking me to rate between two songs that exceed 100. This is two S-class songs. I am being asked to consider two of the songs that most define me as a songwriter. I am going to say that on a scale of 1 to 100, A Whole New World is 107.5, but I Do Anything for Love is 175. And you
I also-
just can't take anything from Jim Steinman.
I don't think I know that I would go that high for A Whole New World. I think it's a great song. I think it's maybe not the right song for Peebo Bryson and Regina Bell.
Disagree. They slay
Peebo
it.
Bryson shouldn't
I'm
have
not-
gotten 2 songs, I'll tell you that much.
I'm not
Peebo
saying
Bryson should have had 7 songs.
I'm not saying they don't do a good job. I'm saying it is
Peebo Bryson
not.
could have sang Best of Friends.
Peebo Bryson, fuck your mom.
Yeah.
She should be so lucky. Hey, Ma.
That the next one is Elton John singing "Can You Feel the Love Tonight."
Well, it's better than referencing Elton John singing I Just Can't Wait to Be King.
I
Oh
don't
my
know.
god, so camp though.
Truly, something
Needs
about
to
it.
be a new gay anthem.
Something about it doesn't quite work for me in the way that, like, while I acknowledge it is a well-written song, it is a really fantastic song in every way, and Peebo Bryson and Regina Bell are both phenomenal vocalists and don't in any way do badly. There's something earth-shattering about I Do Anything for Love. So that
But
is...
a point,
yeah.
The only counterpoint I want to make, and it's a point
Yeah.
that I made to Nico earlier, which is specifically, I had no idea it was from 1993 because it sounds like it's from 1978. It
It's 2 out of
sounds
3
like
ain't bad. It's Jim Steinman
it
and Meatloaf.
sounds like it is just straight up from the Bat Out of Hell album.
Volume 1.
And I thought it was old when I was a kid, and I had no idea it was from my lifetime, let alone 1993. And so that's something that I think is a ding against it as far as this being a 1993 bracketeering. And my only emotional plea is my personal plea for Aladdin is insofar as it was such a magical moment that they were doing these ballad versions of these Disney Renaissance songs on the radio. And like as a little kid, you were hearing your Disney music on the radio. And like they kept trying, but it really fell off after this. Can You Feel the Love Tonight was really great, but then they didn't really recapture it that well.
Vanessa Williams' cover of Colors of the Wind just falls slightly short of what it needed to be a massive success. Honestly, I agree.
And so, it was really just the 1-2 punch of the Peebo Bryson songs.
And for me, I think I picked Beauty and the Beast. So
I get that.
That's why my vote is for Meatloaf. Kevo, your vote is for Aladdin.
Yeah, I accept it. I accept that I'm outvoted. Nico, is that correct? Am I outvoted?
Yeah,
it's Meatloaf, Jim Steinem. That is literally one of the greatest songs of my entire existence.
Oh, man. 2 that I don't really want to pick from.
This category is labeled Sexy, I think, and is Informer by Snow and Freak Me by Silk.
Snow is nonsense. It is nonsense that is funny to crack up about.
Yes.
And
did we listen to Freak Me by Silk? Didn't I say?
Oh, we did, and your reaction to it was, It's the one that I said is just the generic "fuck me" jam. If you've ever heard "Text Me" by He Who Should Not Be Named and Will Never Be Named Again, because despite writing so many brilliant songs, he's actually basically Charles Manson.
Yeah, with Piss.
God, it is the hardest thing in the world for me because anyway.
I specifically am hurt by this.
I'm specifically hurt by it because "I Am Your Angel" should have been 10 times the song.
I know
that my heart will go on. I literally can't have this fight again. I had it on my first ever podcast. Now and again, when we were just like, no, I can't defend "Sex Me" ever again. "Freak Me" is average at best, but what you get from Informer's, Snow, even if it's a stupid fucking song, it's a stupid fucking song that defines a generation thinking that a song is fucking stupid. And so if nothing else, everything serves as an example, even if it's the bad example. An Informer's Snow reminds us that an entire generation of white boys should not be rapping. I think about Bubba Sparks and Ugly, which is a great track, and Lovely, which is a great track. But am I here to invest in Bubba Sparks' Bubba Water? No.
So here's the thing.
Oh, so that means my vote is going to Snow.
Yeah. Oh, your vote is going to Snow.
Yes, because it, even if nothing else, it serves as a great example of something that influenced music, even if to say, don't make this.
Fair. Oh man, Nico, fuck, that's a good argument. Okay.
Having just refreshed myself on 10 seconds of Freak Me by Silk on an account that does not have paid ads, so to watch an ad, that was annoying. Don't like that. Freak Me by Silk is hugely a sound of that era. But who are they? Whereas I feel like if you say Informer or Snow, someone will cut.
The thing is, I don't know. I don't know that "Here Comes the Hot Stepper" next year would have been the jam.
I am the lyrical gangster.
So here's the,
we would have no Jason Mraz except for Snow.
"Here Comes the Hot Stepper" is actually a Jamaican dance hall group. Ini Kamoz is actually a Jamaican person. So then it's anyway. That's the better song between Snow and between Informer. "Here Comes the Hot Stepper" is a better song, but that also comes out a year later.
Is a better song compared to Informer by Snow.
True, but you did make a really good point, so I am voting for that. Let's just move right on. Oh boy.
That's the way love goes is an all-time jam.
Listen, you're voting for Janet already. We all know. I'm not letting you monologue on this too hard because you get to talk about Janet a lot.
I can say it in 15 seconds.
We will
count.
Okay,
it.
I'm looking at a timer right now.
go.
Number 1 night of my life, marrying Kevo. Number 2 night of my life, seeing Janet Jackson in concert, tied with meeting Tori Amos. End of story.
Yeah.
11
Yeah,
seconds.
something like that. I'm voting for Week.
Get out of here, you crazy handsome man!
No, I will not get out of here.
I want to get out of here.
I love so many Janet Jackson songs.
You are way too cool to be this wrong about this question.
No. I the list is endless of songs where I would pick Janet first. This just does not happen to be one of them. I don't think this is iconographic of 1993, and I don't think it's iconographic of Janet Jackson.
That G to G minor.
You're talking music theory. I don't think you're talking pop culture. Weak is just like, it's a real perfect.
It's not, I Get Weak by Belinda Carlisle. Okay, rate the quality of your week.
Kevo, break the tie, please. Just save your marriage and vote Janet.
I did shoot you a look, I guess.
Did you?
I guess I did.
What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna tell you you're a king, and I love you. I can't believe I'm such an Alyssa Edwards fan that I click. I can't believe this happened to me.
I don't want to be the tiebreaker. This sucks.
I think that I would say that if you need a little bit of help, That's the Way Love Goes was number 1 for 6 weeks, and Week was number 1 for 1 week. You've seen Janet Jackson in concert, and you've seen SWV ring you up at Walmart. So I think that you can...
Rude.
Ye garbage.
Listen, Sisters with Voices had some incredible contributions to the quality of pop
No
music.
no monologuing for you. This is Kevo's time.
Who do you love? Are you
Paraphrase.
sure? I do what I gotta do.
No.
To paraphrase Danny Pudi's arch nemesis, Larry King, I'm going to vote for Janet Jackson, but not because you told me to.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Because that's the correct vote. So, oh God, I don't know what to do.
Oh, we got to do a half brack first. Okay, I thought we were going to the next songs.
Fuck. No, really, honest to God, this is asking me which influenced me more, Melrose Place or Twin Peaks. This is an impossibility.
Well, I'm voting. So we are doing. So first up, we have "I Will Always Love You" versus "I Would Do Anything for Love," and I'm voting for Whitney.
Monologue for a second, TK. I have to sing them.
Oh my gosh. This is just incredibly
Is this part
difficult.
of his choice process?
I guess so. This is
Yeah,
this is
he
where
said
we're at
yes,
now.
okay.
Yep. Oh, I feel like I've listened to "I Will Always Love You" so many more times, and it really influenced me more. But I just think Meatloaf. Oh God, I'd do anything for love. I'm singing it now too. Oh man.
I think,
Ooh.
and I'm gonna make this argument too.
Wow.
"I Will Always Love You" is far more versatile than "I Would Do Anything for Love" because you can do an upbeat or a downbeat version of "I Will Always Love You," but you can't really do a happy version of "I Would Do Anything for Love," but I won't do that.
Okay, I have a definitive answer.
Okay.
I think about... Okay, I don't
my
really
God.
see myself in a lot
You
of...
had a definitive answer.
I know
do.
you were.
I
you
do,
were about to-
I do. Part of my actual process is setting up the part where I cut myself off. Guys, do you not know that by now? Okay.
No, I know,
So-
but we're cutting you off early tonight.
When I
Yeah.
think about characters that remind me of me and characters that I'm trying to emulate who are clearly cooler than me, they're fictional. But Lorelai Gilmore is way, way, way high up that list.
He's voting "I Will Always Love You."
No, I'm not. Lorelai Gilmore's performance of "I Will Always Love You" is exactly why "I Will Always Love You" is not the song for me.
She does the
My
she does the
song-
Dolly version though.
She does the Dolly version, but she sings it exactly the way she sang Guys and Dolls, A Person Could Develop a Cold. One of the best performances in that whole performance set But if you can sing I'd Do Anything for Love, there isn't a bad performance of it. So I kind of have to give it to the Michael Crawford in me. It's gotta be Meatloaf. Sorry I've upset you guys so much that you're like, I'm sorry, Nico, but I'm Justin Timberlake in that movie he made about time travel.
The Facebook movie.
Wait, did he really make a movie about time travel that I'm not remembering?
Kevy, you went
Oh
to
no,
Justin
it's not time
Timberlake?
travel. It's
Oh
time.
no, that's not time travel. That's like
Time
live forever, and we have like
it's time
that's
debt.
not time traveling, idiot.
All I know is I was very high in the theater well before it was legal in New Jersey, doing my part to help Governor Murphy make it legal.
In time.
This is. Kevo made the.
No, this
the
is literally Sophie's choice. Yeah.
Yeah, Kevo made the argument that's making me choose Whitney, and it's that I Would Do Anything for Love is not 1993 incarnate in the way that I Will Always Love You is.
Okay.
It is. I really like this. Is so tough.
Yeah, this
because
is tough.
I love I Do Anything for
better
Love so much.
believe
Yeah, so I'm just gonna do this and get us past it. Of course I'm voting for Janet. This is just not even a question.
Yeah. No.
No.
I mean, like literally, you should pick your own Mortal Kombat animality. This has to be That's the Way Love Goes. It's a perfect song. It's a perfect video. The debut of it was a critical and commercial success for every metric. It defined the music video era as what it was. Putting these two women against each other is just quite literally the definition of whites, painting black on black crime. I think this is.
Why are we just pitting black women against together? I don't know.
I thought Rush Limbaugh was
Kevo,
dead.
I'm
We are
telling
the
you right
problem.
now, you're breaking the tie. So just
Are
be
you
thinking
kidding
about
me?
it.
Shit.
No,
Wait,
Of
really?
course I'm picking Whitney.
That is the most realistic reaction I've ever given on video.
Yeah.
Because I genuinely did not ever think for 1 minute you would make the wrong choice against your brother on video. Are you kidding me? Let me start to list the reasons I will always love you.
Bravo, que bellissimo.
Well, because then you're not gonna like my answer either.
Oh
No, do not do this to me. Do
I don't-
Why can't I get you to the top? Are you fighting me? Okay. there
I
we
don't
go.
know how you thought that if I picked this over I Do Anything for Love, that I was gonna. Okay. Well,
I would have picked Janet against I Would Do Anything for Love.
I don't even have
Wow.
a blood type anymore. Everything about my identity has been stripped from
oh
me.
my gosh, this is that you lost on this minor of a thing. I think is probably the
Fuck!
safest we could ever have you experience these emotions.
Probably.
I literally cannot even imagine a song a human being could think is better. Someday by Mariah Carey. Cuddleite Sneeze by Tori Amos.
No, like other
Domestic
Janet
Norma!
Jackson songs.
No.
This is not Janet Jackson's best song.
Go deep.
That's part of
Janet
where I'm
Jackson's
coming from.
Best song. This is like number 3. You drunk people. Okay, put anything else. I can't even have this conversation. I am literally devastated on camera.
I quake with rage.
I literally.
I'll tell you right off the bat, I'm voting for UB40 because I hate River of Dreams so much.
Okay, I want to
Oh, that
say
makes
that
me sad because I like that song. So we have Classic Sounds, Can't Help Falling in Love by UB40 versus
Yeah.
River of Dreams by Billy
Can
Joel.
we go back to that moment that just happened.
No,
Unequivocally, no.
Janet Jackson.
no. We
No.
are at 264 minutes
Right.
on this episode.
Then
we
let me
cannot.
just say,
Is it
I-
about the last category?
no, it's about this.
Okay.
I do think that UB40's I Can't Help Falling in Love
Yeah.
is one of the best covers of my generational era. But as a music theory like baby boy,
Mhm.
River of Dreams is actually a really culturally significant moment for people who appreciate the quality of constructing music. For every Julian Lennon, it's way too late for goodbye. There is a Sean Lennon, who was really basically Sean Ono, let's not lie to ourselves. And he had a much more music theory driven vision of the world. I'm going to give it to UB40 because very few songs in the history of the world fill me with excitement the way understanding this video tied into a movie about spying on people and my later, porn history would indicate that voyeur videos are kind of cool. So UB40's I Can't Help Falling in Love with You music video, damn is it hot. But
that said, don't do white reggae.
Do white reggae if you're the cover of Baby I Love Your Way or 311's cover of Love Song.
There's a few options, but try not to do white reggae, please.
Oh no, yeah.
If you do it politely. Don't be
Yeah.
so.
And you should name your album I'm Sorry.
Yeah.
I think I
pulling
also
into
have
appropriation station.
While
White
I
train.
enjoy River of Dreams, I have to point to our argument for the last contentious battle we had, which is no, not the best Billy Joel song, not super emblematic of Billy Joel's music as a whole.
Not even the best Billy Joel song on this fucking record.
Yeah.
Done.
So obviously, one of the themes of the seminal Selma Hayek,
no.
Matthew Perry classic, Fools Rush In, we go with UB40. What is this one now? We have...
All right, this is Mariah Carey
Oh,
Dream
here
Lover
we go.
versus Janet Jackson again, and this is quite literally asking me to pick between my left and right.
You chose these categories.
Romantic ladies. This is the category, and you picked it. Which
Can I
one
be
is again? Can you remind me?
Thinking about us together.
No, that's
Oh,
Together
no,
again.
sorry, that's Together
Come
again.
From a place that hurts, and God knows how I cry.
Yeah, this is a better song.
Yeah.
No, again, it's quite literally a perfect song.
But Dream Lover, I mean, oh my God, that is the 90s. So I can't even, I'm voting now before anybody else makes this awkward. I'm voting Mariah.
Okay.
You two now, bitches.
Have trouble getting through again without sobbing, but Dream Lover actually does represent like an excitement as a kid toward the future about like falling in love in a way that again can't. If you're asking which one is timeless, I'm going to actually say in retrospect, again means a lot to me. But in 1993, again was nonsense, and Dream Lover was something I could go, Dream Lover, come and rescue, and just do the arm thing from the video, and felt like, I felt like I could dance. So, gotta go to Dream Lover.
Yeah, okay.
You can
I'm
vote
not
Janet
voting
if you want.
I feel like if I vote no, I mean he's just gonna still be upset about the one that he lost.
I am literally inconsolable that that's the way love goes. The greatest thing that Janet Jackson produced.
No, because
in
I felt bad
1993.
before, but I'm actually realizing that as well as I do that again is even a better song. So like this is not the end of the world. Anyway,
If is a better song. I mean, it's just that's the way love goes.
Also, you mentioned Go Deep, another fantastic one. Actually, even in a lot of ways, Got Till It's Gone.
Got Till It's Gone is perfect, and we don't ever talk about Q-Tip's greatest performance as a performer ever in any way less than it's a 240% song.
Okay, yeah. So anyway, there's a lot of so I feel less bad about that than I did as I was clicking. Okay, anyway, this one's going to Mariah. Go back like Babies with Pacifiers.
Okay, this is quite literally the exact same thing to me. This is fucked up. I make this
voices.
show.
Hello. If we have classic voices. If I ever lose my faith in you by Sting versus Harvest Moon by Neil Young. Now you can scream all you want.
I literally make the show because what makes a good show. I don't think about what makes a happy Nico, right? I think about what makes a good show. I have told everyone since I am literally 8 years old. Neil Young singing with Eddie Vedder, Keep on Rockin' in a Free World, defined what I wanted to be as an adult. I think about Harvest Moon. I remember being at a wedding with Kevo about a year after the pandemic, and it was the hardest thing in the world.
2 years ago now.
Yeah, it was the hardest thing in the world to go back to being at weddings and groups of people. When I think
Because
about
they're
songs,
boring and nobody wants to be there. Stop inviting me to your stupid wedding.
and if you
Sorry,
play
continue.
Sweet Caroline, you've ruined it.
Oh, it was already bad to begin with. Stop making it worse.
But man, that the wedding we were at, their first dance, their wedding song was Harvest Moon. Few men say that freedom is about getting to be an American, getting to be a Black American, getting to be a queer American, getting to be a Muslim American, a Jewish American, the way Neil Young stands for the identity of the varied American. And if you don't understand Neil Young's perspective, I highly recommend you look at his free speech protests and you take a look at his body of political work standing by the working man, the blue collar man, and everyone in between. I love Neil Young. I am on record as saying that the only person I think is a better songwriter in the history of the world than Tori Amos is Sting, and I do need to quite seriously give it to what I think is the best Sting single of all time, but this really is asking me to choose between testicles.
I don't know what TK's vote is going to be.
No, I do, and it fucking shocked me. I was very upset.
You don't know what my vote is?
You said that Sting was boring, and I was very upset.
I said about everything.
Kevo's more in the right direction. I don't think I say about everything, Kevo.
Okay, babes.
You have underestimated how much Neil Young creeps me out.
What the fuck?
I get it.
Give
There's a
Crosby,
creepy
Stills,
vibe.
Nash, and Young, and
You're not
your
helping.
easy listening spirit.
Right.
Goes Crosby, Stills,
But
Nash,
my
and Young.
band is Crosby,
Everything.
Stills, and Nash.
I now kick me out of the broadcast.
How
I
is
don't wanna
that a
live on this
distinction we
world.
can make?
I'm joking about that.
Do you even like Emerson, Lake, and Palmer?
Yes. Did
Are
you
these
see the?
ad agencies or bands?
It's actually law firms. Did you watch the music video for
Admin guy.
this?
Yes. I made
Yes, we did.
Kevo watch the music video for this.
Do
and
you
sat there
not
sobbing.
understand why I'm picking Fade Ralpha's music over this bridge troll?
But did you watch the every British trope music video made by Sting that also included these Hebrew people that he'd recently discovered?
Oh my god, and
also-
his face was the sun. That was artsy as fuck.
Very Teletubbies. Also,
That's what it is.
Bollywood
Um,
Teletubbies. That's what it was.
yeah, no,
No,
I
you
don't.
can make it. You can.
I don't like. I don't love If I Ever Lose My Faith. And I actually do like when you were like Postal Service couldn't happen without Harvest Moon.
Impossible.
First off, I was like,
yeah.
yeah, I bet Ben Gibbard did play a lot of Harvest Moon while he was working. And then I was like, oh, wait, he's talking about not video games. Hugely disappointing.
Can you
but
imagine like the performance of Gibbard doing Harvest Moon in his like dorm room, just thinking
Can
about
you
what a
imagine
song
utter
might
Gibberness?
sound like? You motherfucker. Oh no, you have to talk. I have to remove. You have to talk.
I just imagine him playing it for Zoe Deschanel and her being like, wow, that's so good.
Like that scene,
Um,
we haven't even seen it yet, but the scene from Barbie of having guitar played at you and Zoe just
Yes.
being like,
Yep,
"Mm,
exactly that.
thank you for this.
Yeah, Neil Young is an amazing songwriter and,
an
just an
amazing human.
incredible talent and a very good person.
Yeah.
He creeps me out a lot. Old white men are disgusting.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
The least they could do if they're going to exist in my space is be
wear a
hot.
bronzer.
Sting.
So, it's not that I don't like the song Harvest Moon. It's not that
Mhm.
I'm trying to be any sort of way. I don't love it. I could probably fall more in love with it. I think I don't know that I love this version.
Can you imagine Michael
Um,
Bublé's version? You'd like that. It'd make me
You'd
really
hate it.
angry.
Exactly. So I need a medium. Honestly, I have to give it to Sting more than anything because I could swear I've never heard this song before in my life.
You've heard me
And
sing
I'm
it.
including Jason's wedding.
You've heard me sing. Oh, you mean Harvest Moon? Okay, you've actually heard me sing
Harvest
both of
Moon.
these hundreds of times. Actually,
No, I know the Sting song, and that's part of why I have to give it to Sting because yes, bracketeering, the rules, 1993.
The rules.
Do I remember this song from 1993, and do I feel it's the 1993 vibe? Fuck yeah! But more than anything, I have no memory of Harvest Moon, even from that wedding. I don't. I'm surprised
Okay,
myself.
but you know what? I didn't come to Harvest Moon until I came to like Nick Drake with Pink Moon as an adult. Like
Pink
I had
Moon
like
in your area.
I had a Harvest Moon by Neil Young, Pink Moon by Nick Drake, and Phantom Moon by Duncan Sheik, and then like, you know, it was a really good era for me. Anyway, okay.
Pink Moon in your era.
Drag Her. So these two songs, neither one of them hit #1, which seems literally
Couldn't avoid 'ems.
impossible.
The couldn't avoid 'ems are I'm Gonna Be 500 Miles by the Proclaimers and Whoomp There It Is by Tag Team. They
Now-
neither hit #1.
Neither one, but they both have unique international status. Now, the Proclaimers are actually Scots, which is why
And
David
they're beloved
Tennant
by
likes
David
them.
Tennant. Yup.
Yeah, exactly. Oh,
He is
God.
so obsessed.
You're so cute.
You're so
number
cute.
2,
David's so
Whoop.
cute.
Whoop
Neither
There
of
It
you are
Is.
cute. Let's go.
Whoop
Oh,
There
you're
It Is
cute.
is
Stop it.
actually like a humongous international success, and it was actually recorded in multiple languages, and so that's how these are the international couldn't avoid them.
Of these two songs, I am only in the background of the Spanish language music video for one of them, and that's the one I'll be voting for.
Okay, I didn't know you were gonna bring it up. I'm also voting for Whoop There It Is because
No
you're
one
in
was forcing
it.
your hand. No one was forcing your hand. I promise.
I didn't even mention The Good Son came out in 1993.
I
Ah,
also
and then you
did
did.
not bring that up.
You dumb bitch.
God.
Yeah,
But
for
you're
some
cool
deep
and you're in
TK
this
lore.
year.
For some deep TK lore for the fans of this show, in 1993, I was walking down the beach in Key Biscayne, and they were filming the music video for Whoop Se Lo Es, the Spanish language music video for Whoop There It Is. And that is why this is forever the song of 1990. This is the song of 1993 for me. It also like legitimately like the
Did I spell that
intersection.
correctly in our chat? Just so I know.
Right.
You guys are fucking king. I love you.
I gotta look
is that
this up.
spelling right?
Yeah, there might be an accent mark missing.
He wasn't
And
in the video. He isn't Spanish.
Back to you. I just needed to
I-
hashtag it. That was all. Back to you.
Perfect. Yes. I speak Spanish. Shabash.
And Shalom.
I wish I spoke Ladino, but this is like where cheesy radio schlock and like jock jams meets the brilliance of Miami bass and what will go on to inform R&B, hip hop, electronic music, dubstep.
Where do you go, my lovely?
So anyway, for as cheesy and dumb as a song it really is part of like an era and a tradition. And so I give it a lot of credit for that. And Irish people, I'm very sorry if I'm not giving
Scots people.
Gods,
Jesus.
they
fucking
will
Scottish people.
murder you.
Nightmare
I'm
racist.
worried
I'm the
about
worst.
you.
I'm the worst. Scottish people, I'm very sorry if I'm.
Are you gonna
not-
call me a fucking
They're all
Highlander?
garbage on
Nick?
those dumb islands, so I don't care. I just don't want them to come for you.
Do you
No.
think that Sean Connery was in the Coors?
We're all
Was he
leprechaun
not?
trash. So
Is
Wait, was
Evie
he
Miles just a leprechaun to you?
Is that one of the girls from Bewitched?
No, she's actually the lead on Torchwood.
you know, some people say, "Look,
Oh, she's Welsh. Yes. No, I know the Welsh.
Welsh, look at you. You're a fucking king.
Boy, do I know the Welsh. Mostly because they are the voice and accents of the fairies in Ni no Kuni, one of the greatest video games of all time.
One
Anyway-
of the greatest video game franchises of
Yes.
all time.
Yes. 2 can be rough at times, but
3 is
yeah.
perfect. Like literally.
Wait, there's a Ni no Kuni 3?
Which one is the? Say their names for me.
There's just Ni no Kuni and Ni no Kuni 2.
Which one's 2? Which one has the witch in the name?
That's the first one.
Oh, the first one is.
First one's perfect. Yeah, exactly.
Literally,
and it has the Welsh dude playing the fairy. Anyway, well, there it is.
Programmed to think that all good video games have a Japanese, never released in U.S. version.
It actually does. It's for the DS.
I feel like the
You son of a bitch!
Noisy boys.
Yes.
I feel like I'm gonna be by 500 miles by the Proclaimers as its own entity itself has more longevity, whereas the overall saturation of the concept of and influence from Whoomp There It Is has a bigger influence on the era. You know what I mean?
I do, because like I think one of the things that we give Whoomp There It Is we sort of associate Whoomp There It Is with similar songs from its era.
All jock
like,
jams.
Yeah, you know, I kind of think like if there was a Good Boys and this was the theme song the way Bad Boys was the theme song to Cops, perhaps. But I do hear what you're saying. For me, it is Whoomp There It Is, specifically because Whoomp There It Is sort of represented white people acceptable rap music for about 10 years until things like, I don't know, Chingy and like Ja Rule and the, you know, classical musician that is Nelly came in and rewrote the rules on being acceptably white in white circles, but I don't know. I think Whoomp There It Is just edges it out by 0.001%.
I'm laughing because I'm imagining this Whoomp There It Is album cover coming up against Whitney Houston in the final round, and I'm just... We'll see, though. I think we're going with Whoomp.
Good luck,
We are
Whitney,
going
because I gotta be
LOS.
honest, I don't think anybody that wrote Whoomp There It Is married Bobby Brown.
I was
So,
gonna say I think I know where this
Well,
is
now I
ending
need to
up,
look
and I
it
think
up.
it's a riot.
Dream Lover could literally
course.
beat any 7 songs similar to it.
Of course.
Yeah, especially if we're talking 1993 and 90s in general.
Sting could fuck Whoomp There It Is and go 6 more hours. That's a reference to the fact that Sting used to brag about the fact that he could have tantric sex for like 19 hours. And I'm like, Sting, no one cares.
There is the Weber Show joke that lives in my head
You mean
about
Cursed?
that concept. Cursed and then the Weber Show, but I think it was the Weber Show by this point, where they make a joke about Sting saying that after hours of tantric sex, he has an ingasm. And I think it's Chris Elliott says, "Where does the gasm go?" So my autobiography will be called "Where Does the Gasm Go?" TK,
Kevo,
what
you
is-
ready to break a tie here?
Oh shit! It is a tie. It's one person's thing. I was wondering. I think I'm gonna go Whoomp.
I just want to say before we go one step further.
Sting was a little bit more timeless, whereas Whoomp is a little bit more 1993 timeless. Please continue. I'm so sorry.
No, of course. I just didn't think you had that many feelings on Sting. We did not talk about the actual most important record to come out in 1993, and I'm not being funny. I'm actually being really serious for about 10 seconds. I know I don't do that very often, because it's not a cute look on my frown lines. But
No,
in
you look really cute, hand. Serious.
Thank you. In 1993.
Fair.
Yeah, well, I
know.
mean, yes.
Pun intended. Pun intended.
Everybody saw that when I sent into the group chat. In
Yeah.
1983, a record came out that literally reprogrammed me as a person. And Liz Phair, oh God, I think about what it was like to like track down the Girly Sound demos and what it was like to get to see Liz Phair and hear her perform Hot White Cum. And I'm not being funny when I say that. Like, you don't know what it was like to be a kid and be like, I have feelings more sexual than other boys my age seem to, because I want to say really vulgar things. And this woman taught me that, like, I don't say the C word because it's cute. This woman taught me that when you say the C word, it's a powerful thing. I just like, I don't know. Exile in Guyville is the record that I go to for strength It is the soundtrack to playing Final Fantasy VII from the time, playing Super Mario Galaxy and playing Final Fantasy XIV. Exile in Guyville is a record that I go back to for power a couple of times a year, and I just think about what an incredible experience it was to grow up in a world where Liz Phair recorded Never Said, she recorded Stratford on Guy, she recorded any number of those songs, and would go on to record songs that made me feel very strong. And in 1993, Liz Phair said it was okay to be a fucking weirdo. And Exile in Guyville really is one of the most important things that happened to me. June 22nd, 1993, date that lives in me. This album means everything to me. And I'm so grateful for 1993 for being a world that would give Liz Phair, this fucking weirdo, the time of day. And she would release a record that would make me so strong. And it means everything to me. Thank you guys so much for giving me a minute just to spotlight her. It's everything.
Absolutely.
We love it and we love
you. Like, that's why earlier when I was like, hey, there's so much alternative we didn't get into, like, there's like 3 records in that vein from this year that I would get into if we were doing that, but it would literally be double the time of what we have already covered. So
at least,
yeah,
it's only September. Maybe we'll do 5 more installments about 1993.
Exactly.
It's a wild freaking year, and we do whatever we want.
But let's pick the obvious choice here, and then have the obvious showdown that was meant to happen.
A Dream Lover. Now,
Kevo.
Okay. Funny enough,
I can pick Whoomp. There it is. If you guys are both picking Dream Lover.
Yeah. Okay.
This was the question, actually, in 1993. It was, are you Whitney or are you Mariah? And the radio stations made up this argument. Now, I was deeply influenced by, I was very lucky. This man took very good care of me. And, he also probably didn't, but in many ways he did. And I one time said to my friend Chad, you're 15 years older than me, 20 years older than me. He's 10 years older than me. Please, dear God, don't be watching the show. And he said to me, Nico, if you're asking me why Mariah didn't always resonate with people the way Whitney did, it's because the radio stations told us, literally verbatim, she is white Whitney. And by 1993, it was unique the ways in which Whitney Houston's music was clearly made to attract white audiences to accept this stunning, incredibly talented, beautiful black woman. And yet Mariah Carey's music was designed to entice black audiences to accept a white woman who was 1/4 black. Now, I don't mean to use that fraction as a determinant of the quality of Mariah Carey's blackness, because Mariah Carey is as black as she feels as a woman with black heritage, but rather the quality of accepting a white woman, a white-looking woman, who had been formally accepted as white, to have black history, black lineage, was impossible. Am I voting who I love more? Yes. Am I voting on these songs? No. Mariah Carey is one of 3 women who defines the quality of my understanding of media. She is one of my divas. The importance of this rivalry actually lives in the quality of pitting white women against black women when they have equal talent, because women are secondary to men and can be pitted against one another. I don't feel this is a fair rivalry, and I only wish I could give them both, because when you believe, somehow you will. And it is so important to me that was written by Kenneth Babyface Edmonds, as a man who loved both of them. I'm voting Mariah Carey because Mariah Carey was my hero. But these 2 women stand in eternity as equals, and the fact that they have been compared 10 billion times is exclusively the domain of a racist machine that exclusively exists to make women compete.
Damn.
Teak, do you have a response prepared, or?
No. What I'm really trying to figure out right now is, so, like, I feel like...
'Cause I'm ready to go if you aren't. That's what I was asking.
Go. Give me yours.
Something that I looked up while you were talking, listening, loved it. You're so right on all your points. But a factor that I wanted to take into this, because something that I was getting strong vibes of that I was thinking about from my perspective as a kid, is I felt like this was an adult audience versus a youth audience.
What a great read, Kevy. I really
And
love that. Did you
so,
feel that Whitney Houston was the adult audience and
yes.
Mariah Carey leaned a little bit younger, even though you earlier said you felt she was older than you?
And so I wanted to look up their different ages in regards to that. Very surprised to learn that they were 30 and 24 years old.
They were only.
Um,
I thought they were 5 years apart, but 6 makes more sense. Yeah.
about 63 and 69. And I still think that makes sense at the very least to my child brain, but also kind of in the pop culture. If Whitney Houston was 30, Mariah was 24, she was probably definitely pushed younger, and it would make sense for Whitney to be trying to push into a more adult audience at her age and trying to court that next level of celebrity. I'm not sure entirely what that says for the conversation, but that was definitely something that I was surprised to learn ultimately how close they were in age. And Whitney being so much younger than I thought she would have been when I ultimately looked it up. I kind of thought she would have been more like 35.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really crazy.
It's why that Whitney biopic happened, and we're still waiting for oh wait, no, we had Glitter. Never mind.
And that was everything we needed.
I saw Glitter in theaters. I can't believe I keep admitting that on air.
Keva, what was your vote for, though?
You voted Mariah, Nico, right?
I voted Mariah, but I literally said that for me, these are 50-50. It is just that Dream Lover is more the sound of my experience, but rather than define these two women.
Do you have a vote yet, Teak?
I think I'm quickly coming to one.
Okay.
Do you want me to do that, or do you want to give?
Yeah.
Do you have yours? Okay.
You do your pitch, and then I'll see how it influences me.
Okay. Nico, you just said the thing that kind of threw me over, because I think Dream Lover represents my 1993. I think these are both amazing songs. I think Whitney, I Want to Dance with Somebody, How Will I Know? Her really upbeat pop hits of 5 years earlier.
Even I'm Your Baby, which isn't exactly upbeat, but
the
it has
X-Men
an
theme song
edge to it. My fucking God, I have been waiting to make that mashup.
Yes, I know. Yeah, so if you were making me say How Will I Know against Dream Lover, we might be in real trouble, but these songs came out at different times. And then, Hero versus I Will Always Love You, not so much for me. You might really give me trouble with I'm sorry, but this is just who I am, One Sweet Day. There's
Wanye is the most important man.
Yep.
To be sexually active in the 90s. I literally
One Piece is the lead of One
Piece.
Wanye Piece.
I only wish I literally said earlier this episode that the greatest regret I have about 1993 in music is that I didn't have an opportunity to talk about End of the Road by Boyz II Men. Because Boyz II Men,
for me, it's
Fresh Off the Boat, where the men all sing it together and harmonize. God.
For me, it's Water Runs Dry. Come on. I mean,
time stands still until the wind turns cold. I can do literally their first 4 albums from memory.
I think Butterfly has something so quintessentially Mariah.
Listen, I know as a fact I'm going to live to 40 because nothing on earth is going to stop me from doing a deep dive into the perfection of Butterfly. Yeah. Down to the fact that Prince, in the last 2 years of his life, said that while there is no cover of a Prince song, and that includes Genuine's perfect When Doves Cry, Fuck Yourself, he literally said that while he has no patience for covers of his own music, he gave Mariah permission to do the beautiful ones because there was no chance she was going to do it wrong. So that's as close to an endorsement as you're ever going to get from the purple one.
And
who
like
I
my
also started
all
the episode with.
My all is kind of not comparable, but it like to me is like a slow Mariah ballad-esque that, like, again, if you put that against
You find me flamenco guitar in any other song in 1996.
That's what I'm saying. So anyway, my point being, like, there's a lot in which these two could duke it out and either one could win based on the criteria of the day and how far I Will Always Love You has made it over others. I do think I'm giving it to Mariah because this was my 1993.
And it always comes back to what is the bracket. And yes, I Will Always Love You is timeless.
Yeah.
But
and really 1993.
So
it's just not quite
as 1993. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, because I think it leans 1993, 1992, where Dream Lover leans 1993, 1994.
I also have to say that part of what started making me giggle in the middle of this was picturing what comes next, and I definitely think that Mariah Carey would defeat Jack Skellington. So that's part of why I'm giving it to Dream Lover.
Hey, no, that actually brings up an unbelievable point. Give me 1 second.
A little celebration confetti for us.
You know what I want now more than just about anything?
What do you want?
J. Harrison Gee as Jack Skellington.
Oh, okay.
Think about that vocal range. There are few who can deny in what I do, I am the best.
So you can, if you would like, trace it back to this broadcast where Nico decided that he's going to start pioneering getting Nightmare Before Christmas on Broadway. Mark that on our Wikipedia article, and now you know.
You know, I always thought that we'd have like a cute Podcastopedia article, but these three guys, no, we're gonna have a wiki. I feel real good about that. So this does put our final bracket in a really scary position, as it is Scary versus Carrie, and it is Jack Skellington and the cast of The Nightmare Before
You're taking
Christmas.
it seriously.
Yes.
Okay, go for it.
Versus Mariah Carey and the 1993 representation of Dream Lover. Honestly, fuck. Okay. The concept of jack-o'-lanterns and skeletons is the only thing that can defeat Mariah Carey. I guess I have to give it to The Nightmare Before Christmas above specifically Dream Lover. But like, I guess it's just really splitting hairs at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I would still give it to Nightmare Before Christmas. As like fun and sexy, and like I'm in a Jeep that has no sides or top, as my 1993 at 8 years old was. It was also very dark and tragic, and I was wondering what I was going to do about Christmas. So,
and sexily drinking out of poison fountains in the middle of your Halloween village.
And
we weren't in the Millennium Tribe era of the 1990s yet, so it wasn't all pastel, neon, hope for the future boy bands. It was still pretty scary, pretty dark.
Spider Jerusalem is the actual antithesis of the Backstreet Boys. So I agree with you. We were not yet in a place to understand the spectrum of pop culture.
Yep. So that's it's Nightmare Before Christmas for me as well. Kevo, I want to hear your vote.
Yeah, Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah.
All right, Mimi girl, you were not defeated by anything but, oh my god, I guess we just said Halloween defeated Christmas.
Yeah, I know. Do you think she psychically heard like this in the past, and that's why she's so obsessed with Christmas? She just needs to beat Nightmare Before Christmas, and she never will.
Mama, you can do anything you want as long as you do it and
Oh.
experience that joy and that happiness. We are not by any means saying that Nightmare Before Christmas eclipses Mariah Carey, but for
Yes, we are.
1993, we're but for 1993 and only 1993, we are saying that Nightmare Before Christmas eclipses Mariah Carey as an element of pop culture iconography and archaeology that would go on to influence and have timeless effect on the pop culture that would come after it. For me, I don't know. I think I'm looking back at 1993 and seeing how important 1993 was to so many things. Did it have my favorite Jim Steinman songs? No. Did it have my favorite Disney movies? No. Did it have my favorite thing Whoopi Goldberg ever said in public? No. My favorite thing Whoopi Goldberg has ever said on camera is "fuck you" and that horse you rode in on. But 1993 offered me a whole lot. Oh, she also said, "and you will die," to Patrick Stewart. But 1993 offered a humongous vantage into my experience as a kid and the ways in which pop culture would go on to influence me. Do I think that The Nightmare Before Christmas is the single most influential thing to happen in 1993? I maybe think it was the swearing in of, Hillary Clinton's husband, Bill, but everything else all equal as it were. I am glad we took this opportunity to take a look at 1993. Kevo, you were so right to suggest 1993 as an episode that I think we're going to do it, and we're going to do it twice. We're going to take another look at 1993, and we're going to take a look not at the theater of 1993, because you people don't want to talk about Stephen Sondheim Passion, which, I mean, fair. Instead, we're going to take a look at the TV shows and the video games of 1993, and we're going to take a look at how those two categories would go on to completely influence everything we love down to even today. It's such an exciting opportunity to take a look at a year that so completely sort of described my childhood, but more than that, would go on to influence the things that the three of us share in common. It's a really beautiful thing to get to share this opportunity with you. Kevo, what is it that we discussed today in these 32 things that you loved the most? And also, what's your 1993-ism?
1983-ism?
Your ism. What was
Ism?
your 1993? I don't care if it's on this list or not, because Kevo, as the architect of this project, as the Jason Aaron of this Making Robbie Reyes Not a Complicated Mess, you were clear to say that you also loved a number of projects that didn't make it on here. For instance, we had the end of several programs like Doogie Howser, which starred none other than gay ambassador Neil Patrick Harris, who would go on to be part of the Doctor Who universe, which is something we cover here on X's for Show.
The end of the Golden Girls era with the series finale of Golden Palace.
And
yeah.
not even a series finale, but rather a season finale that had to serve as a series finale, thanks to the fact that CBS gave the creators no warning.
Which is always so sad. And of course, the reason that I wore rocked out my gear, I wasn't sure if it was going to get messed up by the green screen, but it's not really picking up the same hue, which is nice. My Mighty Morphin Power Rangers shirt, because that is yet another thing that was 30 years old this year.
I legit believe we bought that on Hot Topic just to bring this whole episode rubber banded as fuck.
Deep Space Nine, the first concurrently airing spin-off of Star Trek, debuted 30 years ago. A lot of great stuff. I'm gonna save that one for TV, actually. My ism, from what we talked about today, I was weirdly super into Free Willy. I cannot account for my Free Willy era.
Nah, you could have been
That's
a
why
horse boy or a whale boy or a dog boy.
Yeah.
You just, chose to be a computer boy, but
Ooh. Do you know what part of it was? There was a weird killer whale renaissance going on in the 90s, because it wasn't just Free Willy, it was the confluence of Free Willy and The Little Mermaid, the animated series, where there was that special episode where she made friends with the little orca baby.
And Shamu. like the
And
actual
Shamu in
real
general,
whale.
yeah. But like, I think because I had already, as a little tiny gay boy, loved The Little Mermaid and wanted to be Ariel, the sea of it all probably really drew me in. So I'm gonna go with, yeah, that's why I picked Free Willy as my background. Drew this poster a lot in second grade, a lot. That's time I can't get back.
I couldn't even have drawn a conclusion in second grade, let alone a poster. So I think that's phenomenal.
And that's how I make all the stuff that we do on here, I guess. It all comes from drawing those orcas. Am I doing my sign off where you can find me? Are we doing that whole shtick? Well, I am your producer, and as always, you can find me at Kev O'Reilly. That's KEVOREALLY. Thanks for indulging me on this random thought of
No,
just
this is
looking
so
at.
brilliant.
Dude,
I have
only
these
was.
weird.
I'm sorry. I only want to say that, like, I wish you guys were like, I wish we had all talked together so you guys were on the same page as me. Where I'm like, we could go 5 hours on this topic. This is such an incredible topic. I can't be stopped. I'm
No, you
Miley
cannot.
Cyrus.
You cannot.
Everyone
are
has
a wrecking ball.
seen. Everyone has seen my Millinote boards, but I also use it for a lot of my writing stuff. And I have these weird
Oh my
pop
God.
culture charts
Yes.
where I list all of this stuff that like was significant from these time periods that sort of helps get me in the mindset of studying and writing in like different time periods. And just looking at 1993, I was like, holy shit, all of these things. We're going to talk about TV so much, but like, the fact that Frasier is coming back this year, and it was 30 years ago that the spinoff started, it's just crazy that 1993 is such a big thing in pop culture.
I am 1/3 Jean Grey, 1/3 Winnie the Pooh, and 1/3 Frasier. So 1993 is a good year for me.
Really, truly.
Oh my God, I sounded like I was gonna cry. Like this was.
I know. I thought you were getting
like,
choked up, and then I realized you just said you were just hoarse.
You were doing your Martin impression. It's fine. Teak, do you want to talk about your 1993? What is your ish? What is your ism?
Oh man. So we're gonna get into video games, and of course, 1993 is the year that Link's Awakening comes out.
Dude, I could not have realized that 1993 was my video game awakening until you made that list.
Yeah.
So many of the video games that when I discovered video
so cool.
games at 1999 or so many of the video games that I was immediately drawn to were released in this year, and your list really highlighted that. Thank you so much for taking the time to curate that for me.
Yeah, totally. But something else that came out in 1993 that's not really going to fit any of these categories, but like defined that sexy dream lover top down in a Jeep summer that I had was
at 8 years old, you stud.
These babies, the X-Men Series 2 trading cards, another product of 1993.
In every X-Men the Animated Series action figure you ever fucking bought.
Yep. And it was every single one. The lengths that I would go to for those.
And clearly so influential on so many people that I have seen so many variant Marvel covers that are based around this concept.
Wow, Kevin, you beat me to it by like
100%.
1 second.
I'm not even one of you comic pros. I just do your art and I still see it. So yeah.
And so, it was this weird time of me becoming a pop culture fiend, but also a nerd. While also, I started becoming a man rather earlier than the other children. So that's right around here too. So it's like a very horny, nerdy summer where I'm just listening to, like, again, on the one hand, all apologies, but then on the other hand, Dream Lover. And
can I tell you what that was for me?
Yeah.
That was Nothing Really Matters by Madonna crossed with Just Another Girlfriend by Robin. And thinking to myself, I mean, I'd bang me. And like, that is, I'm you, but in 1996, 1997. So like, I really understand what you're trying to express about 1993 and maybe being a little bit ahead of the curve. That even had to be isolating in some ways. That makes the expression you have of the art from 1993 really important, because when you feel shut out from the world, your attachment to art is defining of your cultural experience, which is why
Yeah.
things like the emo movement, the metal movement, and even the heavy metal movement of the, I would say, the post Judas Priest era, because, you know, once Rob Halford was a faggot, no one cared. You know, I think that's really important to say. Also, Rob Halford, you are my king faggot. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it all. I would not say anything more on the subject. But if you do want to talk to me about it for some inexplicable reason, you can find me at TK Elemental, increasingly probably on Blue Sky, because Elon Musk is now talking about how teachers are indoctrinating our children.
Oh, please. He fucking hid a Ukraine missile strike to favor Russia? God damn, you're
There's
favoring
also
the
that.
wrong guy.
So I think I probably have to go away forever now, or figure out a way to be a real drag on his operating budget. And I think I've got too much on my plate for the latter. So, but anyway, TK Elemental, look for me, you know, Blue Sky, technically Instagram, but I'm off that too. I think maybe I'm going to have to Tumblr more, but you know, I'll be around.
We're here 3 times a week, no matter what. So you guys know where to find us.
Bare minimum.
Nico.
Boss man.
All right. So, you know, there's not a lot of things in 1993 that really truly are who I was in 1993, because who I was barely more than a kid watching Encyclopedia on HBO. Anybody who doesn't know, Encyclopedia was like a little kid show about appreciating, I guess, letters. But no, really, truly, what I'm trying to get at is 1993 was a period of growth for me, not so much as a person who would appreciate art. I'm secretly trying to
I know, you're trying to send me a graphic. Everybody knows what you're doing.
Yeah, great. Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, I searched Daredevil the Man Without Marva. So anyway, Daredevil the Man Without Fear 19.
He doesn't have any Marva.
Yeah, no Marvas. Anyway, I can't search fast enough. Daredevil the Man Without Fear by Klaus Janson, JR, and Frank Miller, listed in order of problematic. Are you know, that is the big work for me that we didn't talk about today. But if you're asking me, you know, what we talked about today that was the most defining in 1993, specifically.
Does that cover work?
That is literally the cover, Kevy. That's what I was struggling to find.
Oh, add to stage. That helps.
Yeah, you were a fucking king. That is the reason I love comic books. That one book was the first like real comic book I read that said, "Oh my god, comic books are cool." But in 1993, I wrote Mariah Carey a fan letter, and it ended with, "And
yes, it
please, if you would send me an autographed photo or an unreleased tape of your demos that you haven't sent other people, that would be really cool."
Nico.
Thanks.
Oh my fucking
so
god.
Then I get an autographed photo of Mariah Carey looking kittenish, and if you've ever seen me try to look kittenish, that's what I'm imitating. And I shared it with Sally D. Regatas, who I just want to say was cooler than me. So that's why I showed her the photo, and I gave it to her in 3rd grade. And in 4th grade, she gave it back to me and was like, "Just so you know, I made a photocopy of it and covered it in saran wrap, so it's going to live forever." And then when we were both 20, I ran into her at a Walmart. So I just want to say that in 1993, I wrote Mariah Carey a fan letter, and I'm sure she's waiting for us to be friends. Bitch, nobody sings Almost Home more than me. If you want to find me and check me out and talk about how much I love Mimi, Janet, and more, that is Nico Action, NICOACTIO, and I am desperate to get us off the air by 3:15. Okay, you can check me out. We can talk soon. Hit me up on the interwebs, on the socials. Okay, 3 things. You got to stay safe. You got to be brave. You got to evolve daily, and you got to not get beat up by these 3 guys when these 2 guys. I'm one of the 3. You got to not get beat up by these 2 guys when you run crazy over on time. Okay, goodbye.
We love you. See you next week.
Black